Hello and welcome to the Frontend Horse live stream. We have got a fantastic guest today who's going to be teaching us all about Eleventy, the static site generator. He's also a good friend. He's the moderator in our Discord. He's the moderator here, so watch what you say. If you're not saying how fantastic the stream is going, you might get banned. I'm not sure, but he's going to be occupied teaching us Eleventy. I'm so excited to have him on. Ben Myers, how you doing?
Sounds like a fantastic person. I'm excited to meet him. Howdy, I'm Ben. I'm doing well. I have the day off, which means that I get to spend a lot of time haranguing Alex today, which is, life goals. Yeah,
Yeah.
super excited to be here. I've been watching the show. I think anyone who's seen any episode within the past 3 months will have seen me just absolutely causing chaos in the chat. So I figured, for those who don't know who I am, I do a little thing called Semantics. It's a weekly Twitch stream about accessibility, and formally, I'm in a war with Front End Horse.
Yes,
We
a
are
beef. War is no. War's
we we are
it's beef.
engaging. We are engaging in
Hmm.
some beefery, and I figured the best way to continue this beef was for me to come on and act like your friend and everything.
Yeah, we're gonna bury the hatchet, so to speak. Also, the only reason I'm having you on is so that you're not causing as much chaos in the chat because I didn't know
Oh,
how
I
else to
have the
do it.
chat up.
I don't know how to revoke mod privileges. I've tried. I have no idea how to get rid of that. Oh man. But yeah, no. So figured having you on, teaching us Eleventy would be the best way to make sure that the chat is at an even keel today. No, but you joined the Discord a couple months back, I think. Time is an illusion.
Mm.
And the you and Steph and several other people have made the Eleventy channel in the Discord just one of the most active channels that we have. And
Mhm.
y'all have kind of like slowly been converting me over to wanting to try Eleventy more and more. I've never been opposed to it. It's just, there's so many things to try.
Yeah.
But I'm like, all right, we've got to get into it. We had Ben Holmes on Tuesday to teach us Slinkity and Eleventy. But you're gonna kind of get into like the bread and butter, like starting from square one with Eleventy. So what is it? What is
That's
Eleventy?
that's a fantastic question. So Eleventy is a static site generator, and these days it feels like the phrase static site generator covers a wide spectrum, and I think that's a great thing, right? There are tons of different needs for tons of different sites with tons of different needs, and so I love that there are a wide array of tools meant to address different needs that different sites have. That said, because there's such a wide spectrum, I feel like it kind of muddies the water about when we talk about a static site generator, what do we really mean?
Okay,
Because you have tools like Gatsby, and I'm not here to bash on different frameworks. I don't think framework wars are productive, but
I'm right there with
Gatsby
you. Yeah.
Gatsby is I feel like Gatsby is on one very extreme end of the static site generator spectrum, where yes, it is building an HTML page, but then it sends that as kind of a forerunner, and then it sends all the JavaScript needed to reconstruct your page as a fully fledged application.
Right. It
So by
rehydrates
the
over
time
top.
you what?
Hydrates over, or
Yeah.
it rehydrates. Yeah. Sorry. Didn't mean to cut
By
you
the
off.
time the user's actually interacting with the page, it's not really a static site anymore, right? It is an app.
Yeah.
It's just you had an initial page load that was HTML. And so that's one spectrum of static site generator. But um but on the extreme other end, you have tools like Jekyll or Eleventy or Hugo. And those are very much so, I have content, I would like to turn that content into HTML. You're not building an app. That's not really what Eleventy is for. You could
Got it.
maybe abuse Eleventy to create something app-like, but that's not really the point of it, right? Your
Got it.
point is, I want to get some HTML out into the world. And the HTML that gets built is, it's very lightweight. It's quick to process. You aren't waiting on a whole bunch of JavaScript to build a site, and then maybe JavaScript to run some API calls so that you can then render something. Everything is done at the build time, and you just have some, nice, clean HTML in the end, which I really like. So that's Eleventy there. It's really about it's a factory for turning your content into HTML, and it doesn't want to be anything more than that,
Okay,
really.
so that's kind of the mental model, is that like we're just gonna take my source files and it's the factory that then spits out the HTML and CSS files on the other side.
Yeah, and so I've never personally had I've never worked with Jekyll, but from what I understand, like an app comparison would be to say that Eleventy is Jekyll but for JavaScript.
Got it. I was gonna ask. Yeah. So Jekyll's Ruby, right?
Believe so.
Okay.
Yeah. And then
And I'm
there's
sure the chat can
Hugo,
let us
which
know.
also plays in this space, which is with Go. And apparently Hugo is like the fastest of the static site generators, but Eleventy's always been fast enough for my needs.
Right.
So
Yeah. There's a certain thing of like,
yeah.
do you learn a new language, or do
Yeah.
you just go with something that's really close and
Mhm.
is JavaScript? And so I think that's I think that's kind of the way that I want to go. I've tried Hugo, but it was a lot of trying to figure out what Go is and not wanting to spend all that much time
Right.
in there. So V Prevails says, but then assuming you also really don't need to do any calls on the built pages.
Sure. Right. The idea, and this is a very Jamstack idea here, right, is that the calls that you would need to do probably in for many sites may be better served happening in the build time, right? Which gives you like it's not going to be the latest, greatest, up to datest, but it is going to have been done ahead of time, so your user doesn't have to wait on anything, and you as the developer don't have to figure out how loading states or error states work because everything's just been has already happened, right? So it's a trade-off there of do you want the latest information or do you want decently up-to-date information as of the latest build, and you're fine working with some out-of-date stuff, but you get the lightweight experience there and
But
the no waiting on the client end, and you can still like you can you can include scripts in your Eleventy site, right? And
got it.
therefore you can still use the fetch API and you can still have the latest stuff. It's just that Eleventy's not really for that. So you can do it, but it's not going to be like out of the box. You still have to write those script tags yourself. Like you still have access to anything you can do in HTML and therefore script tags and JavaScript and stuff like that. You can still do that. You can still have a dynamic site, but that's not Eleventy's bread and butter.
Right, where like with React, that is really specializing in like state management and making it easy to update those kinds of things. Where it, are you kind of saying that with Eleventy, if I wanted to make a call and then show that, I would be falling back to something like more vanilla JavaScript methods
Yeah.
of replacing things in the DOM and changing that kind of stuff. So like
Yes.
I'm not completely blocked out from client side JavaScript. It's just not designed and optimized towards that the way that like a Create React app or something along those lines would be, where it's like that's kind of its bread and butter.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Yes, and yeah, Thomas has mentioned that it's just a layer that it's not concerned with. Yeah, like Eleventy is just not very interested in providing support for that kind of client-side JavaScript. Like you can do it because at the end of the day, you're assembling HTML pages, and HTML pages can, link scripts, and they can have script tags, and so
Right.
anything you can do in that world, you can do in this. But Eleventy is not really for that, and so you have to kind of do that yourself. You have to roll it yourself.
Awesome. Awesome. Cool. So, I mean, that answers my like main questions about just like kind of like what is it. Now I'm really interested in seeing how to use it, how to kind of utilize that source into the factory, into the output sort of workflow. So
Yeah,
yeah, what should we hop into? I've got an empty folder here. Should we hop over to that?
let's do it. Let's do it.
All right. Cool.
And yeah, I want to show you just kind of the build process. So let's initialize this as an npm project, and maybe before we dive too into this, like I want to talk about like our real quickly what we're going to be building today,
Yeah.
which is we're going to be building a photo gallery. So what I'm envisioning is the homepage will be like a grid of images, and you can click any of those images to go to like a post about that image. What we're going to be building is a site for, I mean, Alex, I know you've encountered some very cool horses in your lifetime, right?
Uh,
And
yeah, I'm a real horse guy. I'm just I mean, if you ever see me out in public, I'm probably on a horse. It's just
you're,
the way I live my life.
yes.
I'm not at all a faker who just thought that horse domains were funny. It's been in my family for generations. We just horse
This,
people.
this was my father's horse interest. Yes.
Yes, yeah.
Um, Yeah, so we're gonna build a photo gallery where you can highlight the cool horses that you've seen. And so yeah, there'll be like a photo grid on the homepage with a bunch of horses. You can click any of them, and it'll take you to like a post with that image like blown
Cool.
up, and we'll maybe describe some of the cool things about this horse, like the horse's name and kind of where you saw it and stuff like that. So that's
Awesome.
yeah, that's what we're gonna be building, and we're gonna be building this with Eleventy. And so Eleventy is Node, so we're going to need to initialize a Node project here.
Okay. So we're gonna do npm init.
Yep.
Do we want to do Y? I learned about that one the other day from Ben Holmes. We can go ahead. What's this? Only covers. Okay. Package name. What are we calling it?
So we can either call this intro to Eleventy, but the name I want to call the site itself is the Galloping Gallery.
I love it. And yeah, apologies to Thomas if you believed my lie. I've been on a horse like twice in my life. I just dot horse is a funny domain. Version 1, I think that's a good version to start with.
Yep.
Description, we're gonna skip this, right? Entry point index.js. Do we want that?
So it doesn't really matter in an Eleventy app, but what I would recommend is calling this .eleventy.js, and that's spelling out Eleventy. As we're going to see, there's a whole lot of inconsistency as to whether you should spell out Eleventy or whether you should do 11ty.
Yeah.
Because Zach is a massive troll and a monster who does terrible things, but also wonderful things for the world. So this .eleventy.js
does it balance
file,
out, or is one
I
is it
think he
like
put more good into the world than bad.
okay?
The one bad is that
Hot
there's
take.
like 3 different ways to spell Eleventy, and they're all bad. uh, I'm kidding, Zach. I appreciate all you've done for the world, and yet I just want to spell out Eleventy in full every time. So while we're naming this, it doesn't really matter for a site. It matters actually more for plugins. But this
Okay.
.eleventy.js is eventually the name of our configuration file.
Awesome. All right, so hit enter on this.
Yep.
Cool. Test command. Just
You don't need one.
cool. Get repository. For now, we're gonna skip
We'll
it.
eventually need one, but leave it blank for now.
Yeah. Keywords. Author.
Yep.
That's
Cool.
okay. All right, we've got our package JSON.
Yeah. And so with this, let's go ahead and install Eleventy. And what we're going to do is npm install at 11ty slash eleventy. I know. Spell it out. Spell out Eleventy here. Yep.
Okay, like that.
Yes.
Okay. I'm
It's
seeing what you mean already. This is hilarious.
yeah. It's so bad and so great. Yeah, so at 11ty is going to be the namespace, but the actual Eleventy project is spelled out.
Okay, so just hit that.
Yep.
Now this is going to install it not at the the 1.0 is like in alpha or something right now, right? So we're going to get something
Canary
before that.
build, yes. So we're going to
Got it.
be getting like 0.12 point something, I think.
Got it. And chat, just let me know if this is not big enough. I will change it. Yeah, got it. Cool.
Yep. Cool.
Awesome. So we got 11t installed, and so that just added it to node modules and gave us a package lock, right? All right.
Yeah. Cool. So let's go ahead and add our first script to this while we're here in package JSON. Yes, Mike. Of course, we said Eleventy. We're gonna say Eleventy a few times here today. So, but you know what? In honor of that, yay.
Nice. Nice.
So this script that we're gonna add, just call it. We're gonna call it build, but the value of build is going to be Eleventy spelled out. So, yep. And we'll add another script later, but I don't want to do that quite yet.
Okay. Cool.
So let's go ahead and save this. And let's build our first template. Now,
I'm so sorry. I just have to recognize what Ed did. Ed, I'm sorry. I can't hold to that. Ed banned the word.
uh,
But I'm gonna blow right through that ban, Ed. I'm so sorry. Very, very nicely done, but
that's amazing. The ban does not apply to guests, right?
I have no idea. You think I've planned this out that much?
Worst
I
comes to worst, just say Jekyll but for JavaScript or
That's it.
Gatsby for better.
Or
Um,
11ty. There we go. Cool. So,
there we go. All right, so let's build our first template. Now, I think personally, I have historically struggled with some of the terminology in Eleventy. I think sometimes there are terms that are thrown out that all feel like they have some overlap. So I'd love to give a quick definition here.
awesome.
And that definition is the word template. A When I hear template, I'm thinking, this is usually like the wrapper that goes around stuff. But the way Eleventy means it is, it's a file that will that contains content that will eventually be converted into a page or converted into HTML.
Okay.
It's a template because you can use templating languages like Nunjux or Liquid or any others
Okay.
in there. So we're going to create a template, and what I mean by that is just a file that contains our content. And to make this easier, we're going to make this a Markdown file. So let's just go ahead and create a new Markdown file. And let's make this, we'll probably delete this. So let's just call this like readme.md or maybe intro.md or something like that. There we go.
Cool.
And in here, put just some quick markdown, right? Not a whole lot, just maybe show off a couple of markdown syntaxes.
Why is it? Command markdown extension on enter key not found? Huh? What does that even mean? That was weird.
Who knows?
I don't know. Let's go list 1, list 2, and then I don't know what else. I think that's cool. All right, so we've got our sweet markdown file.
Yep. And now that we've got this, let's execute npm run build.
Okay.
Boom.
So
You got this new _ site directory, and if you pop it
wow.
open, it's got an index.html. And specifically, it's got an intro/index.html. So
Right.
I'd love actually for you to kind of describe for me what you're observing, like what you've noticed about this.
Okay, about this specific file or about just what we did?
Yeah, just kind of what we did and about this file, like anything you've just noticed about the process of building an 11D site.
Yeah, so basically it seems to just be looking through my source directory and it might, recursively crawl folders that aren't node modules or some other kind of predicted file name and see what it can find and then spit it out into an _ site folder and just build it. It seems to kind of just be like a hungry hippo gobbling up whatever it can get its hands on and transforming that into HTML. So it knew that it was Markdown. I mean, the file name kind of gives that away, but then it was able to turn it into HTML.
Absolutely. You mentioned that possibly recursively, right? Let's test that out. Let's make like a recursive directory and have a template inside of that as well.
Okay, so like files or something,
Sure.
and then more first, and then file in there index.md. Let me just grab this because that took me forever to write out. I don't want to do it twice. Files thing. Cool. So we run build again.
Yep.
And it went and made it in the same structure. Okay, so because this one was in my root directory, it's going to basically put it at like, alextros.com/intro.
Yeah.
And then because this was nested in this files directory, it's going to put it at /files/first. And then
Yes.
that's
And
that
so
directory. Yeah.
this is, I think, the first key takeaway of Eleventy is that templates are converted to pages in a way that by default aligns with your directory structure. And I think that's really cool. I think that I find that personally very intuitive. It means that I can kind of structure my project as I need to,
Right.
right? And just kind of trust that my project will eventually align to the built site structure, which I think is a handy way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, but I can also see it as potentially getting a bit sloppy in my root directory.
Yeah, right? Like your root directory, any markdown files that exist in there should be readmes, right? Or contributor
Right.
guides.
That's what I'm. Yeah.
Probably not pages that you want to build out, right?
Right.
Um, it would be kind of wild if you're like if you went to alextrost.com/readme and got your repository's readme file. Like that would be
Yes, that's a really good point.
unintended.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's go ahead and make our first configuration here. So to
Okay.
do this, first of all, how do you want to structure this project? Like to
Um,
kind of clean up the root.
I mean, yeah, I feel like typically we have like a source folder, like an SRC folder kind of here.
Let's do it.
Okay, cool. I'll drop my intro in there, and I can. Yes, I'm sure. Thank you for asking. And I'll drop. Yeah, I'm sure. Thank you.
All
Um,
right.
okay, so we've got our files in this source directory.
And let's go ahead and delete our built site
Okay.
and rerun npm run build just to kind of demonstrate the problem that we're about to solve here. Which I'm
Okay.
sure you can probably guess what's going to happen, right?
Yes, that is what I kind of expected. I wasn't sure if it was going to have that, and just for chat, basically what it did is it's going to put it in a source folder because that's what it found it in, and I don't want my website to have like alexstrost.com/source/about, right? Like that's not great. So yeah,
Right.
we need to solve this problem.
So what we want to do is we want to tell Eleventy what to use as its input directory, right? We want to tell it, hey, we want you to start like assume that the source directory is the root of the project, right?
Right.
Because anything above source is probably like project management stuff and not actually stuff that should get built into the site. So we're going to create an Eleventy configuration file. So let's go ahead and create that .eleventy.js file in our
Ah,
root.
cool.
And let's go ahead and do module.exports equals, and then you'll declare a function.
Okay. Ha ha
Oh, yes,
ha.
use it, use it. So we are not going to immediately use this parameter,
Okay.
but let's leave it in there because eventually
Cool.
we totally will. And at this point, we are going to just straight up immediately return an object. And this object is going to have a property called dir, dir for directory. And that's going to be an object. Oh, look at that. We're just going to just, you know what? I'm not a fan of all of those opinions quite yet. Let's just make this an object and call, like, and have an input source and don't worry about the rest of the stuff.
Cool. That's
And
pretty
so,
neat though. Like I keep saying that. Like I'm
yeah.
pretty impressed by this whole what is it called? Copilot? I keep wanting to call it Code Pilot. I think that's an intentional like
Uh,
yeah.
yeah. So by default, Eleventy looks for a .eleventy.js file in your project, and it will execute this function that we've created and take the returned object and use that as its configuration. Now, I want to highlight what I just told you to do. This was a bit of magic knowledge I had, right? So I want to show you where you could have found this information yourself. So
Okay.
let's pull up the browser and let's go to the docs.
Okay.
Uh,
What's
and
the
those docs
website?
are going to be, you what?
What's the website?
11ty slash sorry 11ty.dev.
.dev. Uh whoa, thank you for that gifted sub, Mike. I really appreciate that. That's super kind.
Okay,
Awesome.
so there are several
Liam,
ways
I see you. Sorry, go
ways
ahead.
oh
No, it was a joke from yesterday's
incredible.
stream.
So there's a few ways you can get to the docs from here.
Okay.
Some of them are very subtle. Like,
Yeah.
namely, if you scroll up a bit, so first of all, you could have clicked the header here. There's a tiny docs link below it,
I
but I want to
can't.
show you the most hidden method
Yeah, I
to get.
can't. Where is? I can't find this. I don't.
You'll have to scroll down. I
Yeah,
know
I
it's
don't.
it's so
It's
easy to
just
miss.
this site is impossible to find anything on. Like, where is the documentation even?
Where
I don't.
it's a blink and you'll miss it thing, but there is a link that says documentation for
Ah,
11D.
okay. I
Yeah,
think this might be
blink
it.
and you miss it.
Okay. I think
It needs
this.
to be
Yeah.
bigger. Okay. Anyways, here's the docs, and if you look, there's a left-hand sidebar for navigation, and I believe I'll have to figure out the actual name, but I believe there's a link that says something like configuring 11D. Let me find.
Configure your templates. Configure global data configuration.
Oh, it is. It looks like a header, but it says configuration, and it's a link.
Okay.
Yes. And
Cool.
so
And
there
there
we
it
go.
is. Got it.
And so this is describing all the API for the .11d.js that you can do. And
Awesome.
so this is how we would have known, like you could return an object with a dir property, which itself has an input property.
Cool.
So,
Awesome.
so yeah, we've got source now. At this point, we should probably delete our underscore site directory
Cool.
because I found that 11d doesn't really delete the previous underscore site. So whenever you change the structure of the project, it's like you should probably just clear it out. Just
Would it be a good
yeah,
idea, like in like for if I'm working on a project, or like if I make my personal site in Eleventy, having to do that over and over again, go and delete might be a pain. Would you
yeah.
ever like put that as part of um like the build process, or yeah, like as
Wonder
a command here?
There may there may be a flag to do that. Let's go ahead and do it. I think I've never really bothered because once you get the project structure, then it's not like you really have to worry about it. It's just kind of in these like beginning stages.
Got it.
Or, once you've built enough 11D sites that like you kind of know how you want to set things up. Like you can set up that 11D.js without first going through the process of like, let me run a few builds first.
Right.
So
Yeah,
it's
was
it's
just
not
curious
something
if
I've
that's what you
ever
would
worried
do.
about.
Got it.
Yeah. Um But yeah, Dan's put in the chat that you could do rmrf underscore site and
Yeah, only
11.
thing is RMRF does not work in PowerShell. So I think it's just RM and then
Mm.
something else. I always forget. RM would be underscore site. And let's just see what that does. I already deleted site though, so let's just try
Oh yeah.
run build and see if it throws. RM is not recognized internal or external command. What is it again? I don't know. Oh well, let's just get rid of it.
Yeah, it might be like rmdir or something like that, but
Yeah, I
like
forget offhand.
I'm not too worried. I think we can kind of move past this because our
Yes.
structure's going to consolidate pretty quickly.
Cool.
Um, so yeah, we now have an underscore site directory. Let's go ahead and pop this open.
Cool. So yeah, now that's fixed. We don't have the SRC folder as the first thing. So my understanding is that if we were to run this on like a dev server, or I guess just open this here because it's just HTML, right?
Just-
But like,
The,
yeah,
the lovely thing, sorry to interrupt, but the
yeah,
lovely thing is you have a built site, which means you could host just these HTML pages and you're good, right?
right,
You don't even need to necessarily ship the entire 11D project with the build step. You have a built site that works. And
right,
you could like go to Netlify and you could drag and drop this built site into their uh like create a new site widget
yeah,
and you'd be live, right? Like congratulations, first 11D site, I'm done here, right?
right. No, that's really cool.
Um, yeah.
Cool. So now what are we hitting up? What are we gonna do now?
Yeah, well, so the next thing I want to call out is let's pull up one of those built HTML pages that you've got.
Cool.
So let's look at the actual output here. What are some things you notice about this output and what it has versus what it doesn't have?
Ah, it doesn't have any of the like, uh, none of that.
Right. Yeah. So what you got was the pure translation of the markdown into
Right.
HTML. Eleventy did not add anything for you. This is one of the very strong opinions that Eleventy has, is that Eleventy only adds what you tell it to add. And so it's
Got
not
it.
even going to assume that you want a doc type or a head tag or a body tag or anything like that. It's purely turning your markdown into HTML.
Okay.
So we will want to fix this. We will want to fix this with layouts, and that's eventually where we're heading. But I'd like to. I think we should probably clear away these kind of like sample templates that we built and start actually building out like posts such that you might expect to see them on a like on an image gallery.
Okay, cool. So delete my
So
sites folder, and then we can get rid of first, right?
yep,
And then
and
intro
probably
as well.
yeah. And now we're gonna have other pages, right? There are eventually gonna be like a home page, and we would probably have like an about page, right? And so at this point, I would probably create within source, I would probably have a folder called posts
Okay.
as a way to organize the project. But one of the things I want to stress is um, that Eleventy will let you follow your own opinions. And so, Alex, if you would prefer to do things differently, I would like to do things how you prefer.
Okay.
But
This is great
ultimately,
for me. I have very, very weak opinions.
okay.
Incredibly weak, whatever you think.
So let's go ahead and make a post about a very cool horse that we've seen.
Okay.
And some things that I want this post to have are I want this post to have an image associated. We can probably find one from Unsplash. We're going to name this horse. We're going to maybe have the date that we saw the horse. We're going to describe some features of this horse. So
Okay.
let's create a markdown file and let's just call this like whatever we're going to name this horse.md.
Cool.
Lightning. Okay. Cool. Let's put in a bit of
Front matter.
we'll do front matter eventually. Let's
Okay.
kind of figure out the layout, or I guess the and just kind of sticking in this markdown file for now. Let's figure out kind of the order that we want things to exist in. So let's start with maybe an image, and that would be the exclamation point, square braces,
Right.
and yep,
And then this
make
bit's the alt
sure
text, right? Like
yes,
something like that.
yep,
Or cool.
yeah, and we'll put in the yep,
Cool.
we'll and
Unsplash.
yep,
All right.
yep,
Let's go to Unsplash. Horse. All right, chat. Help me spot lightning. Which one is lightning? What do you think that's lightning? That
maybe
could be
lightning.
lightning.
That could be a good lightning.
Yeah, that's a solid lightning. What's the Unsplash API? Just curious. What's it? Yeah, so not the real one. I wanted the other one. I mean, I know you can just link right Unsplash source. Doesn't it allow you to do like a specific random search term, specific photo? Yeah, I
I
guess you can just
I
do
think
this.
just kind of given the nature of this, like I don't necessarily want to have like random images, if that makes
No,
sense.
right. I was just
Right.
gonna
Oh, I
grab
see.
this
I
bit so that we can like say exactly what size we want through the query parameter, if possible.
yes. And it's worth mentioning, and we might get to this later, but Eleventy does have some resources for supporting that sizing as well.
Nice.
In case you're using images of your own hosting or anything like that, right? Like Unsplash and Cloudinary and stuff like that. They're like different image services, like image hosting services now have kind of the ways you can specify this in the URL, but we don't have that privilege with all images that we would want to host.
Got it.
Right, and so Eleventy provides some tooling for that as well. Let's go ahead and add a H1 here, and that H1 will read lightning.
Cool.
Then, yeah, let's go ahead and put in the date that you witness lightning and all of lightning's glory.
Yeah, let's just go with today's date, I guess.
Sure.
In American format. I'm so sorry, chat in other countries. I
All
know.
right.
Cool. We got a date.
Yep. And we now just let's describe some cool things about lightning. That we know of. Like lightning is I mean, first of all, lightning is beautiful, right? Lightning is
Yes.
a perfect creature who is too good for this world. Lightning also has a bachelor's degree in aerospace engineering. I don't know if
I
you knew that.
I always forget that, honestly. He's very humble about it and doesn't like to like rub it in anyone's face. So you don't know unless you really know Lightning for a while.
Hmm.
So thank you for reminding me. Um,
All
Bachelor.
right.
I always bachelor's. No, is it? I don't know.
It's fine.
What's the thing? What's the thing, chat? Help me out with that. Degree in aerospace engineering. Cool.
All right. Um, yeah, and
L-
so
Sorry, Liam points out that we have to add Lil Sebastian, and he is incredibly right. Maybe
go ahead and do it.
in memoriam page, maybe.
There we
For
go. I'm down. Let's go ahead and create a template for little Sebastian as well.
Okay, cool.
Um,
Are we good with the info here?
I think so. I think so.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Cool. Uh,
How about that copy paste? I just want to call attention to that, right? Like we're like one of the problems of this approach is like as you add more and more sites, or sorry, more and more pages, like more and more horse sightings, right? You're going to be copying and pasting this structure a whole lot, right?
right.
Or some contributor is just going to have to know that like the image comes before the heading and then you have the state and the state is in this format and then you have the description. Someone just has to know that structure.
Hmm.
And I mean, you work at a CMS. You know how well people like handle with like just remembering structures of things like that, right?
Yeah.
Um, like that is we did copy paste, but that is a ridiculously manual process, right? And if later we decide, oh, headings actually need to go above the image, we're gonna have to go to all those templates and update it, right? So I want to immediately call that out as like eventually that's a problem, and that's a problem that we're gonna address very, very quickly.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. I'm trying to think. Let's just see what image might we be able to get away with, like just referencing and not getting.
Oh god,
Is that
that's
one?
probably fine.
Yeah. Is that actually him? I can't. It looks enough like him, so we're just gonna go with it. Copy image address. This is for research purposes, chat. We're not. You might be like, oh, they're stealing image research. We're researching, so I'm allowed to do whatever I want if I say research. All right.
Pretty sure that's how fair use works.
Yeah, pretty sure. I claimed. Oh, no copyright infringement intended. If you put that at the
There
front
we
of your
go.
video, they can't get you for it. It's
That's
only if you
right.
intend to hurt someone can you get in any trouble. That's
Of course.
science. Uh,
Manny's doing it's for educational purposes, and I know Manny's a student, and that makes Manny an expert in all
yes,
things copyright law.
yes, exactly. See, I'm trying to think when this episode came out. Looks like August 16th, 2017 might be the earliest. So, August 16th, 2017. Probably not right, but we're not going to spend a lot of time going in. What can we say about Lil Sebastian?
Perfect
Um,
being small boy.
Lil Sebastian spent his years. Here we go. Oh man, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. This is
All right.
great. Field. Yeah. Lil Sebastian.
Copyright infringement not intended, of
Yeah,
course.
no. Well, this is a wiki. I can do whatever I want.
There we
Um,
go. Yeah.
he was a good one. Oh my god.
You are
This.
straight up copying from his official obituary from the show,
Yeah.
though.
I mean, that's
It's from a wiki, so
chat. Look
okay.
at this though. He spent his years out in the field changing the world. He was a goodwill ambassador for Indiana veterans and went to Kuwait to entertain the troops. A champion climber, he was a member of the Great Lakes Ski Patrol and emergency rescue team. Oh my god,
Incredible.
this is so good. All right, we can keep going.
Incredible. All right. So yeah, we've got this page, and we could build this out again, but we know. I mean, if you want to, we totally can. We kind of know what to expect, though, right? We're gonna get these like HTML fragments, not full pages, but we'll get a lightning slash index.html, and we'll get a little Sebastian index HTML.
Right,
And they will both be incomplete as far as our markup is concerned.
right,
So we want to add some wrapping around it. Specifically, we want to add, our standard HTML boilerplate, a doc type, a head tag, a main with like stuff like that.
cool.
So let's go ahead and create what Eleventy calls a layout. And I think a formal definition of a layout would be a template that wraps around a template. Um,
Huh.
yeah,
Okay.
it's wild, but some of the same templating syntaxes that you could get inside your templates, you get inside your layouts, and that's really where things start to get powerful. So let's go
Got
ahead
it.
and create. I don't know if you wanted to go ahead and build with the fragments first. It's up to you. I see you're kind of focused in the terminal. We can, or we don't have
All
to. Up
good.
to you.
No, I have no preference here. I was just preparing for whatever came my way.
Sounds good. So, let's go ahead and create a new folder inside your source. So this is
Okay.
going to be underscore includes. And underscore includes is a magic name. Eleventy does let you configure this if you want, but by default, Eleventy is going to look in your underscore includes directory. It's worth mentioning it's specifically checking inside your input directory. So because we said input was source, right? Then 11 is going to go, okay, does source have this includes
Okay.
directory? And in here, we're going to create our first layout. Now, different people will have different ways they like to do this. I tend to create mine with an HTML extension, and we'll see why
Okay.
very shortly. So let's go ahead and create this. And this is going to be, we're going to apply this layout to eventually all of our posts. So let's call this post.html.
Cool.
And here, do you have that like snippet that's like HTML:5 that gives you your whole boilerplate?
Yep. It's just Emmet.
Boom.
It should
There
be
we go.
built into VS Code. Yeah.
Yep. All right. And let's go ahead and set that title to be Galloping Gallery. And we can probably set up a few things inside of our body, like let's have a header tag and a main tag and maybe a footer.
Cool.
Yep. And the inside the header, we can probably have like an anchor tag that says Galloping Gallery and takes you to root.
That's really funny. So, nope.
Wow.
Right.
Decided to add there we go. Yep. And let's just put something in the footer, right? Maybe a copyright 2021 so that no one can steal our stuff unless they don't intend to.
Yeah. As long as they're not students, then they can do whatever they want. Look
So
at
we'll
this.
just
That's
stick
so
in
funny.
God, it's adding some PHP.
Right. Let's see.
I think because includes originally comes from PHP. I might be wrong on that.
Ah, interesting.
Yep. Okay. And as for what goes in the main, I'm gonna leave this an open-ended question for now. But currently, like we can presume something's going to go into there, right?
Right.
Eventually. But first, I want to apply our layout to one of our templates. So let's pick our favorite template between Little Sebastian or Lightning.
I think we've got a clear winner, but we can go with Lil Sebastian on this one.
Good answer. Um, so yeah, let's open up the Little Sebastian template.
Okay.
And what I want to do is I want to take this layout that we've created, this HTML boilerplate that we've got that has our header and our footer and all that markup, and has the head tag. I want to apply it here. And so to do this, we are going to do some front matter.
Okay.
And so front matter is metadata that's defined at the top of your markdown file. It's marked with these like fencing of triple hyphens. And inside here, we can use YAML syntax to define properties that exist on our template. And we can call these properties whatever we want. Eleventy does have a few that have very magical names, like very specific names. And one of those is layout. So let's go ahead and do layout colon. And now we're going to put post.html. Yes. And you might
Cool.
be wondering, Ben, where is the underscore includes directory? Well, because we stuck,
It
because we
knows.
stuck, yeah, well, because we stuck post HTML inside of our includes directory, right? Like 11D is going to look inside your includes directory. And so all the paths here for our layouts are relative to includes.
Got it. Cool.
Let's go ahead and build our site now.
Okay. So we've got this inside here. We don't have anything in the main, but that's kind of
Right.
expected because we didn't tell it to put anything there. but it built out with that. And
Yeah.
so, but the other one will have, yeah, so that's what I
Right.
expected to happen. We didn't give this a template, so it just assumed, okay, well, I'll spit out what you've given me. Sorry,
Yep.
we didn't give it a layout. I'm going to mix those words up a lot. But we
I
did,
mix them up all the time.
yeah,
Like,
but we did give this
yeah.
one a layout, so it built with it, but it didn't have anywhere to like we're not using any of the nunchucks or liquid kind of templating, so it
Yeah.
just gave us the layout as is.
So let's go ahead and fix that.
Okay.
So let's go into our layout, the post.html, and inside the main, I want you to do double curly braces. And this is another magical name that Copilot is helping us out with. It's content. So
Cool.
this is a variable that Eleventy exposes for us that will have all of the built HTML, all of the compiled HTML from our template.
Okay.
So now let's go ahead and build this again.
Cool. Okay, so we have the layout from before, and then inside our main, because we put that a little bit there, we've got our content there. That's awesome.
Absolutely, right? And
Yeah.
I think that this is you're starting to see kind of the workflow for how you could build a page, right? Because you can define these templates and you can give each template a layout, and that layout is your HTML boilerplate that wraps around the template.
Right.
Um, but I want to call back to that problem that I mentioned, which is that um, all of our templates at this point are still ridiculously manual, right? They're
Yeah.
still all very copy pasta oriented, right? And so, we could, if we wanted to reorder things on the page, we would have to go to all of our templates that use our post layout and reorder in there. And I think that that's no fun. That doesn't scream static site generation to me, right?
Yeah, or it just doesn't scream like dry or any kind of like handy
Uh,
programming conventions.
Can you imagine like approving that merge request too,
Yeah.
right? That pull request where it's like, well, I wanted to reorder things, so I had to go to all the posts that have ever existed in our history and reordered them, right?
Yeah, that's a pain.
God forbid I missed one of those. So I'd like to really leverage layouts to a more full potential.
Okay.
So first, let's go to our Lightning template, and let's go ahead and apply the layout as well. Um,
Cool.
and let's consider what of these templates could be replaced with, for instance, a variable, right? Because everything kind of has its own thing, right? Like we know every horse has a name.
Right.
Every horse is going to have an image, and every horse image has an alt text,
Right.
right? Also, date of sighting, right? These are all things that we would like to maybe specify in a way that is agnostic of how it actually ends up getting used.
Right.
And so we can define these in our front matter.
Cool.
And so let's go ahead and do that. So what do you want to call the variable that we'll use to store our horse name?
Uh, name would make sense to
Okay.
me, but
All right.
um,
And we're going to need the horse image.
yeah. So would be like image URL or
Up to you, dude.
and then alt like image alt text or
Works for me.
do we typically do camel case with this
I mean, I tend to do only
hyphen?
capital U, but
Oh, sorry, I meant image either
oh yes, it's camel
kebab
case.
or camel. Cool.
YAML probably would support it. YAML's a one heck of a spec is how I'll describe that
Hmm.
politically. But
And Dan in the chat says could do nested YAML.
you can, yeah. I tend to keep things pretty flat, personally. But
Oh, chat's
yes,
being a
you
little
could
bit
have
stretchy.
you could define like an object. And I think it's gonna want you to have a space after the colon. There we go. Yep.
Yeah.
And image alt. There we go.
Cool. So we
Um,
can cut
and
this.
then maybe also I don't know. Do we want to include the like citing dates?
Yeah, I think so.
Yep. And let's do this in ISO format. So 2021-08-27.
Cool. All right. So we're getting rid of that stuff, right? And then we're just
Yeah.
keeping the description here as the content.
Yep.
Awesome.
All right, and let's make a similar journey in our little Sebastian file.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, let's get rid of that. Pasting that in.
Also, Killian needs you to hydrate,
I
and
did.
Mike
I
needs you
took
to
care of
shred.
it.
Okay,
Yep.
good.
Yeah. No. I'm caught up. I'm multitasking here.
Good deal. Good deal.
Thank you, chat. Chat just cares about my well-being. 08 and then 16. And then name.
There we go.
Cool.
And so what I like about this, right, is we're now we're defining what every template needs to have, but we're defining it in a way that's now agnostic of how it actually gets placed, right?
Right.
So we will eventually be able to mix and match these as we need without having to update the underlying templates. And this feels to me very, very much so the promise of static site generation and very dry,
Yeah.
right?
And like just like this date's gonna be so much easier to work with than any other kind of date. Like the way we had it just wasn't very
For sure.
usable in general.
All right,
Cool.
so now we're gonna go to our post HTML
All right.
because we need to actually start consuming this, right? So
Right.
let's go ahead and make an image here, and we're gonna use our source, and we're going to use our alt. And so you are gonna need to wrap this in quotes. This is not JSX.
Got it.
It is actually getting basically it's a find and replace is what Eleventy is doing. So you still need the quotes, but the stuff that's in the
Got
curly
it.
braces will be substituted with a value that exists. And
So
we
is
can
this just gonna
use,
be
yeah,
just like that?
and
It's not like content dot or anything.
that's correct.
Cool.
Which feels very clean to me. I like that. Um, Followed by, we should probably have an H1 with our horse name,
Right. It's funny.
which we would just
Name.
call name. Yep.
Cool. And then what else we got? We got cited, and that's it. And then the content is
Yeah.
gonna stay there,
Let's
right?
let's rename cited to date
Date.
because
Cool.
that is a magic keyword in Eleventy that's actually going to automatically handle some sorting for us in a way that we don't have to worry about, which I'm very here for. So,
Oh, that's great.
yep.
All right. How am I
So,
showing this date?
let's make a paragraph tag and we're gonna say cited, and then inside there we're going to do a time element with a date time equals um the date.
So date time in here.
Yep.
Cool.
And in there, we'll put the date. We may get to formatting this later, because I like showing how tools that you're already familiar with will make this even easier. But for now, let's just stick with like our kind of ISO date.
Can we like
Um,
use pipes and things like that to format?
we
Is
totally
that
can, yeah.
awesome?
And but I think we should get to that later.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
still
Absolutely.
want to work with like this consolidation of layouts that we've got.
Cool.
Okay. So we are saying that every post has these data attributes. Those data attributes, which we defined in our front matter, are now getting exposed to us as variables that we can use in both our template and our layout,
Awesome.
which is super cool. Let's go ahead and yeah, let's build our site
Cool.
and let's
Um.
check on the build output. I'm sorry, go
So
ahead.
yeah. So one thing like you I'm used to with Gatsby, with Next, with like other frameworks
Mhm.
like that, having a development server running.
Yes. I
Is it
was getting to that point. Part of the
cool?
problem with Eleventy's implementation, Eleventy uses browser sync, which one of the quirks of it is that browser sync requires all of your pages to have a body tag. And we haven't gotten there because we haven't had layouts.
Makes sense. Cool. Yeah, I was just curious if this was the only workflow or if you could do that. Cool. Awesome.
We we will get there basically next.
Love it.
But yep. So yeah, we've got our layouts here. Everything seems is kind of a gross syntax for the date time. I don't know that that's like formally how things are supposed to be formatted, but we would worry about that more in a full-fledged like production app, I think.
Cool.
Yeah, and you know what? I I think maybe we should consider moving the date time below, like the citing, like below the description, right? We
Sounds good.
could go to the post and move that citing below content,
And
or the other
content's
way around.
coming in as a paragraph tag, right? Yeah, because it's marked down, so it's automatically putting it there. Cool. All right, looks good. That's been.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
that's
so
what
let's
I'm.
go ahead and rebuild once more
Cool.
with feeling. And you'll see that like all of our built sites, all of our built pages have now updated with this new structure.
Yeah, and
We
this is the
didn't have
part
to
that I
go to,
really love right here. This
yeah,
0.11 seconds, like
blazing fast.
that's we can't use that word. We're gonna get. I don't want to get Zach in trouble.
Yeah.
Patents, copyrights, whatever. You gotta. I mean, everything's blazing fast. Yes, but
Yeah. So this, what we just did though, is we reordered things in our layout and we rebuilt, and all of our templates like updated automatically. Like all of our pages now have this new structure. We didn't have to go to all those markdown files.
right.
It's excellent, and I find this workflow just incredibly fast.
Cool.
We can make it faster though, right? You want a dev server? Let's get a dev server. So let's go into your package.json, and we're going to create a new script called dev, and this is going to be set to 11 dash dash serve. And this is the world of development in which I live in. I
Got it.
tend to like live in npm run dev with 11 serve.
Cool.
So, yep. Now that we've got this, we likely won't have to be rerunning every time we make a change.
Cool. All right. Open at
Cool.
8080. What's the difference
Yeah.
between the local and the UI?
The UI, that is specifically the browser sync UI. So if you wanted to configure the browser sync instance, you could go there. But
Got it.
our page lives at 8080. Now you're going to get an error because we don't have a homepage. There's nothing
Right.
defined. But if you were to go to /lightning/ or /Lil Sebastian
Oh, forward slash again, right?
Yep.
Why?
Let's see. Maybe you need to manually put that. Oh, posts. Okay, yes. There we go.
What's the reason for the forward slash again?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Eleventy, by default, assumes that you want all of your pages built into directories of their own that have an index.html. And so that's how it's building it for you. We could update that if you want to where it's instead like lilsebastian.html. We could update that, but basically it's assuming, hey, James and friends, welcome. We're doing
Yeah. Hey, how's it going? James, thank you for that rate. I really appreciate it. Welcome, everybody. Well, what were we just working on over on James' stream? Big shout out to James. Let me hit that real quick. James is actually coming on the show in a few weeks. I'm losing track of time, but I know James is booked to be on the show. I'm excited for it. But James, cue quick. There we go. It worked. Thank you for the raid, James. Great to see everyone come in. We are just learning some Eleventy, and I mean, we're very on brand here.
Yeah.
As they come in, they're like, oh, this freaking guy and his horses every time. Yeah, so we are learning Eleventy. If you are new to Eleventy, this is the episode for you. We started from scratch, and we are kind of building it from there. We're kind of building a like personal Instagram sort of thing where you can take pictures of all of the horses that you've seen. We have Lil Sebastian and this fake horse Lightning. I like that. To me, Lightning is the fake horse, not Lil Sebastian.
Yes. And yeah, we can go to the Lil Sebastian page and we'll see like all working, right? Like this is fantastic. And we could have updated our templates, we can update our layouts. Now that we've got 11 serve, like it'll all just automatically refresh for us. It's gonna be really quick too.
Yes.
I like I've had experience with other tools where I make a change, and even though I have a dev server, like it still takes like 30 seconds, and then I have to like still refresh the page. And I don't have to worry about that with Eleventy because it turns out doing a find and replace for data is a lot faster than assembling entire bundles of JavaScript.
Got it. Yeah. But so James's crew, thank you for coming through. So that's what we're working on today. This channel, we do lots of front-end web development, lots of creative coding. We have developers on to teach us about creative techniques. Just yesterday, Liam, if you're still in the chat, he came on to teach us about shaders, and it was just phenomenal. We went pretty much from knowing nothing in shaders to making some really cool like psychedelic things. They made a spiral, all kinds of cool stuff with shaders. We're always learning something new, either about front end development and or creative coding. So you are in, and there's Liam. Liam,
All
phenomenal
right.
episode. Loved it. So thank you again. But yeah, so if you're into that stuff, follow, and you're in the right place. Zito Adesso, please. July. I don't know what Zito Adesso is.
I am
You'll have to
Googling this right now,
fill
and
me in. But yeah, so thank you again, James. Great to have everyone here. So once Ben's done Googling Zito Adesso, is it a horse?
it's probably a horse, right?
That's
That'd be
my
a horse.
guess. But I'm also afraid that chat just got me to say something that then follow up with like, oh,
Yeah.
you need D's, and I go, what's D's, and then they get me good. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm also afraid of that. But still, yeah,
It's not a horse. I can confirm that.
interesting.
It sounds like it's
Exactly,
Italian
James.
for set up now, which no. Um,
That there it is. These wonderful horse images. Yeah, that's thank you, Chrysalis. Good to see you. Cool.
yeah.
So we now have our dev server running. That's awesome. And so now we don't have to worry about building to see our pages. And yeah, we still are. We've got pretty much everything we're expecting. We have the date outputting in the super long date format, but you were saying that we can use like a pipe operator or whatever they call it. What syntax does it default to? I'm sorry.
Uh,
What templating language I should
That's a
say?
great question. Yeah, so Eleventy comes with its own host of templating languages.
Right.
And by default, because we're in an HTML file, Eleventy is going to default to one called Liquid. I know quite a few Eleventy people are big on nunchucks, which I believe is more or less a more powerful superset of Liquid. I think people would object to calling it a superset, but basically a superset. Truthfully, I haven't found much need to move to nunchucks. I
Okay.
tend to live in Liquid land,
Okay.
especially for demo projects. Worth calling out that yes, you can override what the default languages are, and you can mix and match and stuff like that. But I think if you're okay with it, we can just kind of stick with Liquid and
Absolutely. Yeah. I was just
deal with.
curious, like, just so that if I continue this project on my own, what docs am I looking up, right? Like if I
Right.
because these templating languages, which I actually really do like, where like um, things like JSX kind of fall short of it. So,
Mhm.
not on everything, but on some things where like you just have a nice pipe operator in things like Twig and things like nunchucks where you can, like quickly format a date in kind of like in easy way, where in JSX you're doing that with JavaScript. And yes, it's still fine. It's just not as convenient as just going like pipe date or something like that, right? Like, yeah. So I don't know if that would work, but I've done things
Yeah.
like that in Twig where that would then spit out. Let's see if that actually worked. Let's see if Copilot knows what it's talking about. And that didn't
Don't
seem to
think
change
there's a
anything.
date filter built in, but we
Nope.
can add one. Would you like to add one?
It's totally fine. I was just saying like the benefits of those kinds of pipe things. Pug
Let's
does
do it.
Pug do that? Chat. Nunchuck filters, cool. Hey, Alan, good to see you. Got it. Thank you,
Um,
Klaus, Ever Walking Dev, for that. See, I knew it as soon as I said it. I'm like, this is probably a troll thing. So
yeah.
thank you, Klaus, and Ben.
Well,
Cool.
let's go ahead and yeah, maybe we can brush past the filters and come back to that because I
Absolutely.
think that like there's some fun to be had there, but like I think maybe we just kind of come back to it later.
Sounds great.
Um, so next problem, right? You're gonna be adding more horses, right? Like we're down the road, we're gonna have more horses, right? And you're gonna have to like add yourself like the front matter. One of the things I find perhaps a little frustrating is like the way we've got this set up, you have to specify the layout every time,
What do you
right?
mean?
You,
Oh,
well,
oh, oh,
go to your
in my
templates,
yes.
right?
Yeah, so as I create a new file, I mean, if I'm copying and pasting, it's not a big deal, but just having to say that it's already in the post folder, this feels redundant,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Like
I get what you're saying.
what is the world in which you have like unless maybe we're talking about like a blog, in which case like most of your posts have one layout, but then like a few posts you have like a different layout for art direction reasons. For the most part, because of how we've grouped this in a way that makes sense for us, like we're grouping related content together, probably going to look very similar. And so for the most part, our posts should use this post HTML layout,
Cool.
right? And there's not really much of a world in which there's like posts that need their own individual layouts.
Got
So
it.
let's set a default layout for every post that exists in the posts directory. And to
Okay.
do this, we're going to use what Eleventy calls directory data. There's several ways you can define directory data, but the one that we're going to start with, we can adjust later if need be, is inside your posts directory, we're going to create a file called posts.json. And that name is very intentional here. The name of the JSON file matches the directory it's in. Eleventy
Ah,
picks that up as like, oh, this is defining data that exists for every template in this folder and all of its children.
cool. Okay. That's awesome.
So, yeah, and how you think we're going to do this? If we wanted to add a layout data property to all of
Yeah.
our
I was gonna say
templates,
layout. Oh,
now, it is a JSON file, and so you are going to
yeah.
have to wrap that key in quotes.
And then posts. Is it post.html?
Post,
Or
yeah,
do I
post.
have to, I'm guessing it's going to not need me to like locate it because it's going to be in the include, so it's going to default to that, right?
Yeah. And so
Cool.
what we've just done here is we've defined a data variable that exists now for all templates in our posts. So if we add another horse, we could go in and we can add all the other fields, all the horse specific fields, the things that actually do change on a page by page basis, but we don't have to add the layout. So let's go ahead and add one more horse.
Okay. And Dan Leatherman says, turns out every file is either a template or a data file.
Yeah, basically.
Interesting.
It's wild. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, let's go ahead and just add us a new good horse.
Chat, we
Uh,
need a horse name. Don't give me any D's or Italian curse words or anything
Nougat.
like that.
Let's call our horse Nougat.
Nougat?
Nougat. Oh, we've got some also very good options as well.
Harry, Farlap.
Jennifer,
Okay, Liam,
Zagreus,
Farlap feels like another one. Like
right?
Farlap. What are you
I,
guys getting me into?
I
I was
love, sorry, Thomas, you are a wonderful individual. I love that I said we need horse names and you jumped into action with like several. Like, I've got them. I'm ready. Let's do this.
these were my childhood horses. Here's all their names. Oh man, this is really hard. I'm gonna have to go with Zagreus just because I
Zagreus is a
am
good one.
a complete stan for Hades, and I think Mike knows that, and he's absolutely going towards that. Chat, you are fantastic with these horse names. Though we might have to get all of those in at some point.
Yeah.
Zagreus, awesome. All right.
Yep. Really fast. Agreed.
Uh,
If you see Athena, get the dash. That's all I know about Hades now that I've seen Mike play. By the way, shout out to Mike Peruvian Idol in the chat. He was doing a charity stream yesterday of playing Hades, and it's for a great cause. So go check out Peruvian Idol. Go donate.
yeah, thank you. SOPERUVIANIDOL. There we go. Thank you for saying that, Ben. So Zagreus, a godlike horse.
Yes.
And we need an image. Let's just go grab another Unsplash one. I'm not gonna get actually
The
So,
delightful one that had like one heck of an underbite. There we go. It's bottom left there.
oh, this
With
one?
the, yeah. Is that not
No.
Zagreus? Are
Is
you not
that no?
entertained?
Zagreus is an absolute hunk. That's not Zagreus. There's no way. Let's go with this though.
Okay.
And for the chat, Zagreus is a character in a very, very, very good video game called Hades. It's just a lovely game. So
Yeah.
that's why. Google's horse hunk.
Don't,
Cool.
Ben. Ben, don't. Yeah. So now if we go to our Zagreus page, right, it should have the layout, even though we didn't tell it to do it.
Yes, there it is.
Nice.
Awesome. Also,
So
it cropped it, I think. Did it crop? Yeah,
interesting.
it cropped
Yeah.
because I've got the size here.
Mm. I see.
So
I
let's
see.
just go 800 by 400. Cool.
Nice.
All
Yeah.
right.
So we don't have to remember to do the layout. Yeah, I know.
Dan, I appreciate you.
Hmm.
Cool. This is looking good.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And
so that
we
just
didn't have
shows
to
that we didn't
specify
have
the
to
layout, right?
pull this in. Yeah, and someone in the chat, I forget who it was, sorry, might have been Ben Holmes.
I think it was Dan,
Was it
maybe.
Dan? Sorry. It was a little bit up, or else I'd read it off. Yeah, it says that we don't even need the .html. It'll just assume who it
Nice. I didn't know
was.
that.
Farlap, a New Zealand racehorse. Nice. Okay. Nice.
Have you
Nicely done,
seen
Liam.
there was a racehorse named I'm gonna spell it out here. Potooo
So,
which
like,
is
when they win, or yeah,
no, it's a Pote 8 O's.
got it.
Oh, it was Mike. Yes. Okay. So we've got a default layout, and here's the thing: any one of our posts could override that layout. Like if we had multiple layouts, you could still go to the post and say like layout and specify something different if you wanted.
That's awesome.
And the posts like that template's specific layout will be overridden, or it will be overriding. It will override the directory's default layout.
Got it. That's really nice.
Yeah. Cool. Um. Let's see. I think I would like to install some plugins now.
Awesome.
Um,
Yeah, I know nothing about these plugins, so I'm really curious what kinds of plugins. Should we look at just as like a
got,
thing?
yeah, so there are some default plugins built into
Plugins.
Eleventy.
Okay.
Yeah, and here's the API for that. So there are sorry, not built into Eleventy. There are like in the like Eleventy namespace. But I want to
Got it.
install my favorite, which is Eleventy plugin embed everything. So if you just Google that, Eleventy
Uh,
plugin embed everything.
okay.
Because I know you're quite prolific with your media creation, right? You create a tons of TikToks. I've heard.
I maybe like 6 in my life, but yes, I am the most prolific TikToker that there is. Yes, this is true.
Um, I think it's got its own. Yeah, here we go. That's its own
Nice.
homepage. Yeah, so we are going to install this, and it
Cool.
makes it dead easy to just drop in a link to some video on YouTube or on TikTok or something like that. Just
Yeah.
kind of drop it in and run with it. So yeah, let's go ahead and install
Install and
this plugin.
configure. Okay, cool. This is neat.
Yeah,
This.
and I'm finding. Um, let's see. Let me mute my tab over here. I am hoping that this is. Oh, that is a creator, isn't it? I'm trying to find like a TikTok about Lil Sebastian,
Thank you
but
for the follows, by the way, Max, and
yeah.
to everyone else who came in and followed. I really appreciate it. Welcome. It's great to have you. And Ben Holmes, that's an interesting question about chaotically having a post.nunjux and a post.html. Could you omit the extension? I'm guessing it would pick one, but like
Oh,
this is
that's a hard one.
total guess. Why
Okay.
Ben? Why Mike?
All right. So, yeah. So have you installed this?
Let's see. Yes.
Okay. So let's go ahead and add this. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to go to our .11d.js.
Cool.
And up at the top, let's require. Unfortunately, we're going to be using the require syntax here, but
Okay.
so const, and I would call this like embed everything. It's a global export, so you can call it whatever you want, or a default export rather. And equals require, and you're gonna put 11d plugin embed everything. There
we go.
And now, before you return, like so inside your function, but before you return, we're gonna call 11d config dot add plugin, And look at that, it's already auto completing. I don't think we need any options, so let's just
Coming for
have the
my
web
job,
open up.
Ben. It's coming for it.
It's coming. All right. And yeah, so let's actually use this to embed something. And I want to embed. I was trying to find a TikTok that had the Lil Sebastian song, but I couldn't find it. But I did instead find an official YouTube video
There we go.
from the Parks and Rec channel. So we're going to embed that, passing in Discord a link to a YouTube video.
Awesome. And I just popped over to Discord and saw that Dan Leatherman joined us over on the Discord. Dan, great to have you there.
Onto the server.
That's awesome. Cool. So
So just copy this URL, and we're going to go to our Lil Sebastian template.
all right.
And just at the end, just go ahead and paste it in there. Yep.
Do
Cool.
we have to do anything like any kind of syntax?
No.
That's cool.
Nope.
You're like, nope, don't even. All right. Galloping gallery. Well, Sebastian. Let's refresh maybe. It's just, I'll restart the dev server. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, I think because we changed the 11.js.
Like the source file. That makes a lot of sense. Nice. Oh my god, this is amazing.
That right there, like the fact that that just kind of works, like it's really easy. And
Yeah.
this plugin is incredible because it also has like TikTok and all sorts of other stuff. Like super worth like using this plugin if you do anything with media, right?
Yeah. It wraps it in a div, so you can just style a Eleventy plugin YouTube embed. It's really nice.
Yep.
That's cool. So are the plugins kind of like Gatsby plugins? I think you're familiar with Gatsby, right?
Somewhat. I did some Gatsby a while back. I kind of bounced off of it personally, but I'm familiar with like Gatsby's plugin ecosystem.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, it's fairly similar. There are quite a few plugins that are like official plugins that you can find in the docs. There's quite a few community created plugins as well. So this right here is a community one. And if you're ever looking for just like what plugins exist in the world, you can go to the NPM site and search for Eleventy-plugin, and that will find that will find basically any plugin. All plugins basically follow this Eleventy plugin naming convention.
Cool. Awesome. That's really handy.
Yeah.
Nice. So what do we want to hit up next? We installed a plugin, we built the template and the layouts. We're flying through this. So now next on our list is build a homepage, unless you want to hit some more plugins.
Yeah. And so what I want to do is, we were talking about this being like a photo gallery, and right now this is like the worst site in the world to navigate because you just have to kind of magically know the names of all the pages, right? So we want a proper homepage. And so to do this, we're going to create ourselves a new template. And this template, we're going to have in our source, just at the root level of source. And we could create, so I'm going to say that we call this template index.html.
Cool.
HTML is a valid template language. So this is going to keep us from having to like do things where like, we have to create like a layout for just the homepage and also, like also have the template, right?
Right. Should we go ahead and hit this?
Yep. Cool.
I'm really curious real quick. What's the difference between that and bang?
I don't know that
I think they're the same. I think you can just do bang and then you're good. Yeah, so if you just hit exclamation mark, I think you get the same exact result.
Didn't know that. Is very convenient. Yeah. So, and let's just give this a title of Galloping Gallery.
Ooh, and we could hold on real quick. I'm getting a little bit fancy.
Yeah.
Probably getting a little too big for my britches, but we could go.
You're absolutely right. And this right here to me is like part of the power of using data for these kinds of things. It's like you can reuse it even in your head. Like we didn't have to install React Helmet or anything like that to be able to do that. We just define data in our template and we can use it in our layouts.
Awesome.
Yeah. So let's give this a probably a lot of the same stuff actually as our post layout, right? The have a header with an anchor tag that points to this current page, a main, a footer. You
Got it.
could copy paste, I think, if you
Yeah,
wanted.
that's fine.
Okay.
I guess we can copy and paste that first bit, right? That makes
Yeah.
sense. Cool. And then main and footer. Got it.
Yep. All right. And so once again, we kind of run into this problem of we know we want to use this, right? We want to use information about our pages. We could go in and we could like manually add like an unordered list that has, links to all of our pages, but that doesn't scale, right? No
Right.
one's gonna remember to um, like update this homepage and that kind of stuff. We instead want to generate this list based on our, our content, our templates, right? Um, and so we are going to want to use an Eleventy API called collections. So let's go
Got
to
it.
the docs, the Eleventy docs, and let's look
Cool.
for the collections page.
And yes, Ben Holmes, that was. We keep getting PHP suggestions um, for our Eleventy project. I'm wondering if it's because we're like in an HTML file, and that's no, I don't. Why? Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm not sure why it's giving us PHP, but it is. It
So
is.
collections are an array of templates, all processed. So you have access to the data, you have access to the markup, you have access to the original markdown. You think about like Eleventy has to do a whole lot of processing of each of our templates, and it has to decide a whole bunch of things about them. And you can imagine that a tool like that would have to create its own internal data structure for representing all of the templates that we've got. And so from there, it is kind of a natural fit for Eleventy to pivot to allowing us as Eleventy developers to tap into that, right? And create collections of our own, like subsets of all the templates. And
Okay.
there's different APIs to do this. The one that we're going to leverage today is called tags. And so you're actually on the right page for that.
Perfect.
Um, so
Am I in
um,
the right spot for it?
yeah. And so let us you can see at the beginning it's kind of specifying like you could add this tags property to your front matter. You could give the tag a name of some
Got it.
sort, right? So this could be, it's using the example of post. We could use something like citing or image or something like that, right? We can call this whatever we want. Um, so uh yeah, and then we will be able to iterate over all templates that have that tag.
Got it. So tags is a protected special word in
Mhm.
Eleventy, and so we're gonna go put tags on that thing. And I think Ben Holmes, who's in the chat, who was on Tuesday, teaching us about Slinkity, which is wait, is Slinkity an Eleventy plugin or is it something different now? Because it didn't follow that syntax and it feels a bit different. It feels like it's kind of like a layer on top. I don't know, Ben.
Yeah,
I did ask you that on the other day, and we kind of said, yeah, it's sort of a plugin, but it kind of feels like it's its own like Slinkity is much more than a plugin. There's the quote. There it is. I'm sorry. I'll talk to your PR person, Ben. I apologize.
yeah, it's
Cool.
funny because, and I don't want to dive into like making Eleventy plugins, but you've already made an Eleventy plugin technically, because an Eleventy plugin is, sorry, your .11ty.js file is composable, so you could pass another Eleventy.js file into it. What you're actually doing is that add plugin.
Got
If
it.
you were to inspect that like embed everything, the entry point for the embed everything plugin is a .11ty.js file. So
That's funny.
yeah, it's like I don't really want to dive into that because that is like some advanced
It's
spooky stuff,
it's
but
turtles all the way down. It's just
yeah,
got it.
a plugin is an Eleventy configuration, and you have
Wow,
made an Eleventy configuration.
that's pretty neat. Um,
Uh,
cool. Sorry to.
yeah,
So we're gonna go to
good.
posts, lightning, and add a tag of horse.
Yeah, sure. And it's gonna be tags plural.
Thank you.
And now you're gonna go probably to Little Sebastian, and you're gonna add tags horse, and you're gonna go to Zagreus and add tags horse, and you're noticing something, right?
That we're doing the copy paste thing again.
You're doing the copy paste thing again. There's a better
Got
way, right?
it. Let me see tags.
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah, nice. That's
Yeah.
really handy.
hmm So now,
Awesome.
once again, you don't have to remember to just add this horse tag to
Yeah,
all of your posts as you add them, right?
I can get rid of
Just,
this. Just make it a little
yeah.
bit
Clean it up,
tidier. Oh, this feels good.
right?
This is nice. Look at these
Yeah.
streamlined, sleek horse files. Loving it.
Right. And this, like the data that's left and the content that's left is focusing on really just the specific file, right? It's not
Yeah.
worrying about any of the Eleventy internals, right? It
Yeah.
it knows nothing about Eleventy at this point, right? Like we just specify here's the metadata about this post, here's the contents of this post.
Got it. Can we put other fallbacks in here? Like
Yeah.
like or does this just have to be special keywords, or can I, like, this would
Any
be
data
bad
you want.
practice, but it could be like image
Sure.
alt, and then we do like a photo of a horse, right? Like
Yes.
like that would be crappy to have that, but as a fallback, maybe it would be more helpful. We could probably also do it in our actual layout, but I guess it
Yes.
kind of depend where you wanted it, right?
So Eleventy has a whole process, yeah, called where like you can specify data in different places in your site in your project, and Eleventy will aggregate all of that data together. And there is an order for the precedence here. So this whole process is called the data cascade, and there's
Got it, right.
one dork whose name is Ben Myers who has published a blog post about the Eleventy data cascade. I'm gonna put that in the chat as well.
Awesome. Yeah,
Um,
please do.
we're not going to go into the intricacies of the Cascade, but this took me kind of ages to understand. It took me a whole lot of like hands-on examples, but
Cool.
more or less, the like it works by co-location. So the closer your data is to the template, the more likely it is to override like broader data. And so that means that data that applies to the directory will be overridden by data that applies to one template. So that makes it really, really, really great for supplying a fallback. Um,
Perfect. Cool.
so yeah,
That's so
yes,
handy.
exactly. So if someone forgets to supply an alt text for an image, like you've got here, right? Then we have at least something which is more workable than nothing, right?
Yeah, and Lucy just said it's CSS for data, right? It's that
Yeah.
same Cascade principle.
If you're really interested in this, and I think Thomas can put more information about this in the chat. I am going to be speaking about the Cascade specifically at the Eleventy meetup in October.
Awesome.
I've got a talk I'm putting together called "Journey to the Center of the Data Cascade," um,
Nice.
and it'll go into this like in much more specifics. But yeah, so we've specified here like a sensible default for our data that we can override on those templates itself. Um,
Awesome.
yeah.
Cool. So
Is,
we
is,
got that,
isn't
and
it?
I'm sorry.
Oh, isn't this like I think this is a great workflow personally, right? Like we haven't had to like instrument a whole lot of stuff, right? Like we can define sensible defaults, we can override that closer to, um, and you don't have to like do a whole bunch of queries to make that happen, right? It just kind of does it.
Right. Yeah.
Can you important data? Is that what you were about to
I was
ask?
about to ask you that. Also, Amit, for a CSS master to come in asking about important, I just want to say that that's incredible to me.
Yeah. The answer is yes, you can. So first of all,
Cool.
information that we define in our template has the second highest precedence. So the only thing that has a higher precedent than that is what Eleventy calls computed data, which is data that is derived from other data. Um, but more or less, especially with our workflow that we've got, the template data does have the highest precedence. And so that's how you would important it, basically. You could, if you need, define computed data, and computed data, weirdly enough, can be defined anywhere in the data cascade. And so that would be like where you could really important it. But
Got it.
also, like, consider what you're doing there of saying, like, I'm trying to create a thing that cannot be overridden any further. You would,
Yeah.
like, you probably wouldn't have set up a workflow where it would even have a chance of getting overridden, right?
Yeah.
Like, what would that mean for an actual project?
I think it's just along the same lines of importanting your CSS. Like, you should really only do it for, really wild reasons,
Right.
either for debugging or for like, I'm trying to think like, or, like the screen reader only bit, right? Like that is a whole bunch of importance, so it overrides everything else. So like maybe in certain situations, but anyway, I think we're getting too much into this CSS for
Oh yeah.
data analogy, but
Mhm.
it seems like a helpful mental model to be like, okay, so this is going to be the data that it gets unless there's something anywhere further down along the cascade that will override that. So
Yeah,
that's
and
super
and
helpful.
I think it really is a helpful analogy. I was talking with Steph the other day as I was like kind of starting to prep for the data cascade talk that I'll be giving. I was like, I'm trying to figure out like what direction to go. Like, do I go global to local or local to global? And I realized like eventually I wanted to do like global to local, which is the opposite of how we're doing it here. Namely because it felt like if I were to go local to global, it would be like starting like talking about specificity in CSS and starting with important and then working your way to IDs and then to classes, then elements. Like that's not how you do it. That
Got it.
right? Like, you don't start with the most powerful thing.
Right.
Um, yeah. So now we wanna like have a list of things. So first of all, let's create an unordered list. We're
Cool.
gonna iterate like in there. We're gonna iterate over our collection that we've got. Yeah,
Cool.
and it gives you the
So
syntax here. We can just straight up copy paste this if you want.
love it.
Um, this is going to be a liquid loop here. So it's not going to be collections.post. It's going to be collections.horse.
Makes
It's our
sense.
tag name. And we can probably also say for horse in collections.horse if you'd really prefer.
Absolutely. And then data.name, right?
Yep.
Because we're going for that horse name. And then we could do in here a, and then we've got basically slash posts. No, sorry, slash. Wait, is it
So
posts? Yeah,
here's the
we
thing,
call
right?
it posts.
Well, I mean, why should you have to know what it's called here, right? Like Eleventy knows what it's going to be called. Eleventy is going to supply that for you. So inside your braces, put horse.url.
Put what?
Horse.url.
Nice. Okay, cool. And then horse.data.name, and then that. Hold on. I gotta bring this down. So that should just work, right?
Yeah, so we can go to our homepage. Yeah. Boom.
Nice.
And
All
as
right.
as you create more horses, right?
Yeah,
Like they'll
it'll get added
automatically. And fun fact, your collection is sorted by default by that date property. Remember
by
how I told you
default.
that
Yeah.
by calling that property date, we added some sorting there. And this is really great because like the thing is local development. So Eleventy has kind of a process for how it figures out how it should sort things. And if you supply a date, it's going to use that. But if you don't supply a date, it's going to use the file creation date. Well, if you're doing a Git workflow where you're now building this on Netlify or Vercel or something like that, a Git workflow is going to mess with that like
Right.
date because you don't have the file system creation date, right? So by supplying the date ourselves here, we ensure that like, oh, it doesn't actually go by when the file was created or go alphabetically. It actually goes in order of citing, which I think is really cool. Now, we probably, if this is an image gallery, right? We actually want to. Um, I think Alan has been activated, and I feel like
Yeah.
we're about to activate the sleeper agents.
Is Alan doing horse like
He's
racehorse
doing the horse
names?
name.
They sound like racehorse names, and I love
Okay.
it. Tim.
Oh damn. So we're making a photo gallery though, and it's a social media feed, which means we
Right.
probably want to show the most recent first, right?
Got it. Yes.
So let's go back to our index template and let's go to that loop that you got, the for horse in collections.horse. Let's go ahead and add a pipe after that. And then I
Cool.
think we can just put reverse.
Cool. And that's it.
So this is what
Just
11 calls a filter. Filters are functions that
cool.
take an argument, whatever's on the left, which is collections.horse, and return something. And so now if we go back to our page, it I think should work. Maybe we got some errors or something like that, but
Where would those show
um,
up? Would those show up in not my console? Show up. Yeah. It looks like we got an
yeah,
error.
there we go. Yep. Maybe reverse doesn't exist in Liquid.
Assertion error. Yeah, it doesn't like that. Illegal
Okay.
tag.
Let me look up. Oh God, don't start playing that video. Okay. Liquid reverse array. I'm gonna go to the Liquid docs real quick and look. Oh, it thinks it should be fine. What is the?
Is it just pipe? Do I need like parentheses or anything?
You forgot to write. Uh,
Let me.
right. Oh, uh, did you? Oh yes. No, you've got the end for it. You've got that. You've so you're
Yeah, it
good.
was working. I mean, without the reverse.
Yeah. Okay.
Weird. Let me just copy
See,
this
that is
out.
yeah, that is exactly like the syntax that you've got there, right?
Uh,
Um, you would call this horse.
I don't think it liked it still. Yeah, weird. Anyone just chat now?
Interesting,
Illegal tag often means you forgot to write and whatnot, but on this case, yeah.
because yeah, we've got the end for. Okay. Yeah. Um, currently looking up. Thank you, Thomas. Yeah, we'll get back to that, I think.
Okay.
But no, let's actually like probably display a grid of images, right? Because it's a photo gallery. We want to
Cool.
highlight our good images. Um, so yeah, inside your anchor tag, instead of putting the horse.data.name, let's instead put an image, right?
Got it.
Um,
So,
oh, is it reversed? What?
is it
Really?
reversed? I copied and pasted it in. Oh, wait, hold on. And in Liquid, it would look like this. Ah, in Nunchucks, it looked like this.
Oh,
Good
okay.
call, Ben Holmes. Thank you. Also,
Yes.
there's no pipe in Liquid. It's just there.
Really interesting.
Interesting.
Okay,
Yeah.
good to know.
Thank you, Ben.
All right. That
So
should hopefully.
now, little Sebastian's at the end. Yep. So Lightning would be top one. Awesome. That's what we would expect. Thank you, chat. Really appreciate it. That's odd
Ooh.
and feels wrong. Yeah. I
Yeah.
I'm kind of with you, but yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not the
We,
biggest fan of Liquid, to be honest. But then again, I've only used it on some Shopify projects, and I feel like the state of those projects were more the problem than Liquid. You know how like you pick up a tech
yeah.
and it's just like this whole thing is bad, and so you have like a bad experience with the thing, and then you go, that's not good. I think that's just what it was for Liquid. I'm sure it's fine,
Yeah.
but yeah.
I mean, I could have had that experience myself with like the Gatsby setup I had, which turned me off of GraphQL for a while. I'm
Oh,
still not
gotcha,
on GraphQL, right? Was just
gotcha.
like I struggled with that whole setup for a while, and then it was like, well, GraphQL is the heart of this problem for me, so I'll forever hold a
Right.
grudge against GraphQL
Yeah.
unreasonable. Right? Totally irrational, but
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so yeah, we want to have our source and our alt, and we're gonna secure
Right.
those from horse.data.image URL and image alt.
Cool. And then just I guess leave that there for now. Just as like a okay, that's coming in. Coming in hot. Oh, because
It's
I'm zoomed in,
even
that's
better.
why. Yeah, zoomed in to
Um,
show chat. Let's make that smaller inside the lightning thing because we're calling for this. Let's go down to like 300 by I don't know 600. It's gonna be weird looking, but there we
there we
go.
go.
Sure. We'll worry about this soon.
Yeah. So yeah, and if you were to click all of those, right, they would take you to the horse,
Yep.
right? Um, and so now all of our stuff is driven by the content. It's all automated. As we add more content, we get more horses, right? This is fantastic.
Yeah. No, this is awesome.
Uh,
And then so we can just
yeah.
add some styles to like make it a little bit more Instagrammy or something.
You want to do that? Do you want to add some styles?
Sure. Liam asks, is Alan some fancy new Discord bot?
Well, what I love is
I
Alan
love
does
Alan.
have a bot,
Yeah.
the bot of Alan,
Yeah.
is what
And
that
then the
is.
alt of Alan. Yeah, I love Alan. Alan, I'm very glad you're here. You are making this just wonderful. Yeah, and Lucy pointed out, yeah, this is super fast to build. Honestly, like I've been using Gatsby for a while. I like Gatsby. It's like what I'm most comfortable with. But boy, does starting up the development server and also then build times on
Mhm.
Netlify just take a few minutes, and it slows
Yeah,
down my development process and costs me money on Netlify if I have a very busy month. So something like this is really appreciated.
for
So
sure. Yeah, no, I'm huge on this workflow, and I think it makes a lot of sense for a lot of the things I do. Like my own stream schedule is built in Eleventy purely because like every stream kind of has the same shape, right? Every page looks the same, but it's all the data that's different. And we've just seen how we could define a whole bunch of posts that all look the same but have their own data,
right,
um, which I really really enjoy.
and just build incredibly fast. Cool.
And to be fair, right, this like we are talking about right now 4 pages, right?
No
Three,
JavaScript, nothing, right? Yeah, like it's not doing a lot
yeah,
of work at the end of the day. Also, it's not processing any images like Gatsby would be. So like for the apples to apples comparison, it's not really here.
yeah,
Yeah, I definitely acknowledge
yeah.
that. Like, oh, Gatsby takes me 4 minutes, but if I had my site on this, it would clearly take me 0.01 seconds. No,
Like
but
no,
it's
right.
faster or something. I
It
don't know.
yeah, it's fast because it's doing a find and replace in strings rather than like assembling JavaScript bundles and trying to figure out how to optimize assets, right?
Right.
Um,
Cool.
so
All
yeah,
right. Want to add some styles? How do we
let's
do
add some
styles
stuff.
in Eleventy? I want to learn how
This
to do that.
this is one of my least favorite parts of Eleventy because I
Okay.
kind of believe that every front end tool should at this point have an out of the box solution for styles, right?
Okay.
And Eleventies, as we're going to see, is going to be a little weird. So first of all, we're not going to be dealing in the world of CSS and JS or anything like that. We're going to be doing kind of old fashioned style sheets and stuff like that.
Love it.
How would you typically like? Because I want this to be your opinions, right? Like, how would you want to structure your style sheets in this
Um,
project?
I would assume that we do like a styles, and then keep our style sheets in here, and so then we would have like global dot scss if we can. I would love to have
Let's.
SCSS in the mix, if
There is
possible.
a
But
there is a way to do SAS files, and there's an API that makes that even easier. I think for today, let's stick
cool.
with CSS.
Okay.
Mainly because you have to introduce a whole bunch of like extra workflows to get SAS to work um, with Eleventy right now. Um, if you're interested, Ben Holmes who's in the chat, did come on my show to show like kind of the easy, great custom extension API to do. Oh, is there Eleventy plugin SAS? You know what? Let's try it. Let's try new
Okay.
things.
Cool.
Let's look at Eleventy plugin SAS.
It's super quick to Bjorn in the chat. It's just because the domain name for the site is .horse, and I just took it and ran with it. And we've been using horse as like a pun and a fun thing ever since.
Yeah.
We're not like actually obsessed with horses, but it's just been kind of the fun thing to joke about. So, yeah, welcome. It's
Uh,
great to have you. We do a lot of front end and creative development here, um, and make horse puns.
mhm.
Cool. So we're doing 11T plugin SAS. You said, or
Yeah. And I've never used this, so we will probably have to go find its docs. But
oh,
um,
wait,
there we
I'm
go.
clicking the wrong
First, I
thing.
had Ben. Yeah, I had Ben on the stream, Ben Holmes,
Yeah.
and he showed 11D's experimental add extension API, which makes SAS and other similar things just are simpler. But that's
Cool.
experimental. So let's use a plugin instead. Never
All
used this
right.
one, but wow,
Cool.
that looks pretty dead simple.
Yeah. It's just gonna tack in there and work. I'm gonna have to add it in my 11t.js, right? So do I just do another line, or do I pass this an array?
So every plugin is its own line.
Okay,
So,
cool. What's this one called again? Let's see
uh,
what they recommend. Plugin SAS require 11t plugin SAS. Cool. And then 11t plugin SAS plugin options. Cool. So we can probably go with whatever the default is, right? We probably don't need
Probably,
options.
yeah. And
Options are
then
watch, source maps. Oh, SAS files you wish to compile and watch when you serve. The default looks good to me. Yeah, I'm sure we can probably run with defaults. If we run into any
yeah,
trouble, we can come back here. Cool. So npm run dev. I'm going to change this back real quick to
yeah.
uh,
And I suspect it's not actually going to pick up this SAS file because I think it's outside of the input directory for your Eleventy project, but we'll find out. That could be
oh,
wrong. There we go. Yep.
cool. npm run dev. Catching up the chat a little bit. The chat's popping today. I'm having a tough time keeping up. Y'all are going for it. Hit some roadblocks with imports though. Where doesn't reload changes?
Yeah, our good friend Eleventy, our good friend Stephanie has a SAS starter, which is excellent. And I will
Awesome.
find that and put the link to that in the chat as well.
Cool. And yeah, it seems compiling SAS files. I'm guessing it would have said we found a file and we can actually check. Oh no, we can't check our sites directory.
Yeah, we can.
It's
Because if it been, yeah, look at that. Okay, so it
cool.
did
It
find it
picked up on it. Awesome.
right there.
So if we look
Um,
at our page, we should see.
well, it won't have been added, right? Because we don't tell our
Of course,
HTML to import that style sheet.
of course, that makes sense. Awesome.
So we're gonna go to our head tag and we're gonna do link rel equals style sheet href equals, and then we'll give it the path.
Yeah, it's gonna be
And it looks like it's going to
styles.
be styles slash global CSS. There we go. That should do it. Yeah.
Nice. All right. Cool. Worked
All right.
great.
All right. That was far easier than I
And
was
then
expecting.
let's
Yeah,
just
we
see
have
real
that.
quick. Just curious if we go H1 color. Gonna really just make this awful, but oh right, because
I don't think
we don't
an
have an H1 here. Interesting. Main. I guess we should just put it in here, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And we'll just call this, yeah, Galloping Gallery.
So yeah,
There we go. It's purple.
nesting's working. So I just wanted to see if that would handle that. And yep, it handles the nesting. Nice. Very,
Yeah.
very cool. Horrible style, but hey, giving it a shot. So nice. We do have our style set up. Very cool.
Yeah, and so we could do something in here, like we could start to format our grid, right? So let's go ahead and, add well, actually, you know what? Let's add some grid styles to our list, and I'll let you kind of tackle this however you want to tackle it, right? Because one of the things I want to emphasize for you and for the viewers at home is that Eleventy's number one opinion is that its opinion shouldn't get in your way, and so ultimately, however you want to do this, Eleventy should support it.
Got it. Okay, cool. So, trying to think what we should even do for this. Just
The list will probably have display grid, right? And like we could
yeah,
do,
yeah, yeah.
but I don't know
So
if you want to do
image
like classes or anything like that. It's totally up to you.
image grid. Then we go, yeah, sure. I'm just gonna do whatever Copilot tells me to do. We're gonna
Amazing.
style this through Copilot.
All right.
That's really funny. We'll just find out what happens.
And then
We need
is a list, so you'll probably want to do
list
list style
decoration, list
list style
style.
which worth calling out just because my main gig is accessibility advocacy. If you remove the bullets in a list, Safari and VoiceOver will no longer treat it semantically as a list as far as accessibility is concerned. I think it's fine, right? Like
Really?
WebKit built that in for a reason, which is that developers were kind of overusing lists and it was leading to a lot of clutter. So their user testing kind of found that, like, yeah, you know what? If you don't display it as a list, if you start changing it up so that it's no longer got bullets, it's probably just easier if you don't semantically announce it as a link. But just a thing to call
Got it.
out for the accessibility perspective here is that, yeah, technically doing that list style none is going to treat this no longer as a list as far as WebKit and VoiceOver together are concerned.
That's really interesting. Yeah, I did not know that. Also, oh wait,
I,
does that apply to changing the marker as well? I was about to ask the
I
same
believe
thing,
so.
Manny.
I believe so. Yeah. If you
Huh.
if you do anything to like remove the marker, basically, like you can change the marker color, but the moment you start like hiding the marker, it's like,
And
nope, not a
putting in
list.
like your own SVG or something fancy like that. Like,
Yeah. And NFG Codex is asking like, is that something you'd have to instrument with ARIA labels or such? You could still add like role equals list. The thing is like, I don't think you should, right? Unless you are convinced that it absolutely has to be displayed as like or announced rather as a list, like trust the browsers and their user testing and their heuristics on that matter. Because otherwise you're going to create an experience that is inconsistent with the user's experience on other pages as well. So you could do role equals list and that would still work, but I wouldn't recommend it.
got it. That's really interesting. I take
So
back my
yeah,
complaint. Great
that's
plugin.
kind of a detour there, but it's a bit of a fun one that I wanted to call out that like this is not without its side effects.
Yeah. All right. So image grid have. Oh wait. What's happening? Oh, I put it on the LI. That's why. I was like, why is that not
Oh,
working?
yeah. We want to apply it on the UL.
Yup. Cool. Looks like garbage, but we're getting there. Li. Let's go class equals. I should probably do some bem here. Item. Haven't done ben in a minute. Not even sure if I'm doing it right, honestly. Display.
Let's figure out a like let's I've actually got some styles that I was using. We can let me find that real quick in my own project.
Well,
There.
wasn't even gonna say it, Mike. I don't know. You just have so many points. You're just going for it.
Specify a width and a height that is a square, and then do object fit cover. And that would be.
Wait, you said
Oh, I
width and height, that's a
see.
square?
Sorry, I was thinking for the image itself. I see what you're doing now. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I have the name. Um, yeah, for the like now I guess if you were to style the name, or sorry, the image, we could add some square styles and give it a nice like make sure everything's kind of uniform.
Yeah.
Um,
So we just go trying to think. Wait, this site needs a design system.
yeah, it does, and I actually considered like seeing if I could port FHTAC into like a general purpose style sheet that would work for this, but I think it's easier. Or I think it's more instrumental here to actually see us put this together. Um,
Yeah.
so let's go ahead and
Just go with
I see
that
you're
and
finding
then
it on the item though.
I'm sorry?
Let's do a nested style actually for the image itself. So I think what you had there with the like item works, right? But like I'm trying to style the image within the item.
Right. And then image. Yeah, so we can go img.
Yep. And that can take your width and height and then object fit cover. And it might not be the like prettiest thing in the world, but it should give us, you know, a nice
Cool.
stable appearance, if you will.
Hey, round of applause for Ben, everyone. Round of applause.
Thank you. I will accept your yay confetti now, y'all. Um,
um,
yeah.
cool.
So this, yes, thank you, Manny, and Liam. Um, yeah. So we've got a style solution, right? And
Yeah.
this works.
Sure does. Nice. So, did I delete the name? Yeah, let's bring that back. Awesome. Then in there we can also just do like on the body we can just do font family. Sure, that's great.
Yeah.
Open Sans, great suggestion.
We could add Recoleta at some point for headings and stuff like that. Like we could do a
Nice.
lot of fancy stuff.
Yeah. Dropping emojis, love it. Posture check.
Love
Thank you, Max. Appreciate it. And Corey's here. Hey, Corey. Good to see you. Cool. So we've got this. Yeah, we've got our thing. How long would it take us to dip into Eleventy image? Is that like a big
Let's do it.
topic?
Let's do
All
it.
right. We,
Yeah,
and we might finish on that maybe because you got our homepage, and then yeah, we're kind of at 2 hours. I think wrapping up with Eleventy image
yeah.
might be an awesome way to go if that's cool.
Yeah, for sure. And then I would highlight some maybe like other topics that people who are interested in this could, follow up on.
Yeah.
Um, Namely, there's some things we didn't get to, like for instance, global data that I really enjoy. But that it's hard to like shoehorn into a site like this.
Okay.
So, certainly worth exploring that. But I think 11 image would be a very fun
Yeah.
place to kind of wrap up.
Also, we would want this to be. I'm trying to think. Would aspect ratio
Yeah, I
one take care of this?
think so.
Uh, can I just no, I
The
don't format the
images
whole thing.
may still need like a width. We'll find out. Um,
Yeah, it didn't. No, just
oh
trying
yeah.
to. For some reason, I'm blanking on how I just make this a square that sizes in. So
Responsive design is not my strong suit. Um,
yeah, I think. I mean, I'm telling myself it's because we're live and I can't think of how to do it on stream, but probably not. To be honest, I'm probably just goofing it up anyway. But cool. So just want to see if we can make that responsive here, but not gonna do it right
yeah.
now. Cool. So let's do Eleventy image. I'm curious to learn
Good.
about that.
Yeah, so kind of the problem that 11D Image is trying to solve. 11D Image, by the way, is a plugin for 11D. It's officially built by Zach Leatherman. Uh, and the problem that it's trying to solve is image optimization, largely. So we are using Unsplash, and Unsplash comes with APIs for image optimization where you can specify the size and that kind of stuff. But you don't always have an image host that supports that for you,
Right.
right? And um, and so you probably want to leverage some of this stuff for all images in a consistent way. And additionally, even if you're using something like Unsplash, there's still optimizations you could take. Like in browsers that support it, you might want to use the picture tag, and that would let you use like the WebP format
Right.
or the AVIF format. And so if you're, doing um, like all of that stuff though is a hassle to do by hand, right? Like supplying the picture tag and doing all these
Oh my
optimizations.
god, it's the worst. It was one of the
Right,
biggest draws to me for Gatsby, is just like having that stuff built in with Gatsby image and getting all those kinds of
right.
I get mobile and I get desktop and I get loading images and a whole bunch of stuff just out of the box.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why that's my out of the box motion, but apparently that's where my brain goes.
Rain out of the box. The
Yeah,
rain
just
is coming from
making it rain Gatsby image. So yeah,
it's weird. It's weird because like we always assume that the make it rain like that's money, but like it's actually rain coming out of a box.
no, it's
Uh,
actually images. It's just photos. It's a stack of pictures that I'm just
there we
throwing at
go.
people. That's what it
Crazy.
is. Yeah.
You're getting your fingerprints all over my glossy prints. Um, yeah, so let's go ahead and install 11D image. It's going to, I think if you scroll down, it'll give you specifically the
Cool.
install for that because it's going to be like part of the at. Oh, there we go. Uh, so this is
Awesome.
part of the 11TY namespace. Um,
Awesome.
and yeah,
And is comparing this to like a Gatsby image a fair comparison? Are they kind of
sort of.
similar?
Um, as we'll find, 11D image is like quasi an 11D plugin. In fact, you aren't, as far as I know, even going to be running add plugin. It
Ooh,
is wild in that you could run 11D image on any site, right? It does all the processing and the markup for you independently of actually running within 11D. So there's no reason it needs to be 11D specific.
got it.
And I think Ben Holmes, oh yeah, and Ben's calling out a couple of other things, right? Like the fade from like blurry or fade from SVG outline, which is all stuff that requires client-side JavaScript to handle,
Right.
right? This is going to handle stuff like generating a picture markup and stuff like that for you.
Got it.
Um,
Good point.
yeah.
So real
Uh,
quick, it's saying that where was it? Skipping optional dependency, unsupported platform for FS events, wanted OS Darwin, Arch, any current
I think,
Windows, Arch
yeah, I think
x64.
you might have still managed to install it specific. Sorry, you might have still managed to install it. Check your node modules directory and we'll see if it's in there. Um,
Nope.
no, but you do have cache assets, which is interesting to me. Um, okay, what if you don't do save dev? What if
All right.
you install it as just a dependency? Because it's not like
It's kind of the
client-side JavaScript that you're
same
shipping, it
thing,
doesn't
right?
really matter whether anything's a dev dependency or not. Oh,
Weird.
that did it. Okay.
Huh. And then, yeah, the optional dependency thing is still here, so that wasn't the error. What's the error? I don't know. Okay, well,
Yeah.
we're blowing through it.
Yep.
All right. Run dev. Cool. And now we do have, wait, do we have it?
I don't think we do.
What?
Huh.
Image. No. GitHub from package is not what we're looking for. Weird.
That is odd.
Installation. Eleventy image on npm. npm install at Eleventy image. So npm I. Is it saying?
Hmm.
I'm gonna wipe out node modules and
Yeah.
see if that does anything. It's gonna
Okay.
take a minute, isn't it? Damn it. Yeah, continue. Give me 1 second. I need to approve it. There we go.
So, in the meantime, just kind of explaining some of the things that this is going to do for us. Like, namely, if you've never had the pleasure of working with the picture tag, the picture tag is a newish HTML element that can accept multiple sources of images. And it will pick the one that's the best fit for like the current browser resolution or data needs, stuff like that. It One of the children that it accepts is an image tag, like an IMG tag, which is great as a progressive enhancement because if you're on an older browser that doesn't understand how the picture tag works, then it'll ignore all of the tags it doesn't recognize and still display the IMG tag. So you still get an image just without all the optimizations. So
Yeah,
it's optimizations for browsers that support it without breaking browsers that don't support it.
that's awesome. Am I going too soon? Still same result. It's still
Hmm.
deleting. You see this nonsense? I don't
Oof.
like. I love Windows for everything lately, but I don't know why it takes forever to delete something like a delete a folder. I never had this issue with Mac. So I don't get why WS. I know I actually have it installed, Liam. I would love to. I know, right? Ben had a mini heart attack when we were trying to debug something the other day, um, but it turned out great, Ben. Um,
Yeah.
anyway,
First,
yeah, I would love a like just get me up to speed on WSL because I have it installed, Liam. I do. I don't fully know about like how to switch things over and like WSL2 I was looking into that because once I installed WSL they're like now go to WSL2. I'm like okay cool, but then it's like go into your BIOS and fuck around and find out, and I was like I don't want to touch my BIOS. I barely know how to like turn my computer on. So
right.
yeah, that was like okay, interesting. Yeah, NFG codecs. Yes, I as soon as I clicked delete there, I was like, I should have done it from the terminal. But why? Because on Mac, if I do it that way, it's the same. Like it goes faster. All right, we're getting the same. We're getting an error. Okay,
Okay.
we might have to skip. I'm just gonna do I to install. Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Okay. Could just be something odd with
Yeah.
image
Does
in
anyone?
particular.
Yeah. Does anyone else have an issue with Eleventy image on Windows?
Prince.
Prince. Prince comes in just guns blazing. Oh my god. That I love you,
Yeah.
Prince. So good to see you. 11 image is installed now. Okay,
Oh,
so
there we
it's
go.
at least
Cool.
there. Let's see if it's gonna work.
I think now that we've got it, I think we're golden. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Um,
So we're
so
using ECMAScript for this project, right? That's what we're using.
yes,
ECMAScript.
yes.
Okay.
I
npm
believe I can
run.
still use the
I'm
word though, so
I'm
I can
sorry.
gloat about. I think I can use the word JavaScript. Um,
Yeah,
and
I
so
call it ECMAScript. That's just what I just refer to
yeah,
it by the standard
basically.
that line. Yeah. So that's what I do. Uh,
Mhm. Okay. So let's go ahead and actually, if you go to the docs, it'll actually basically tell you what to do. And we're not going to use it this way. Instead, we're
okay.
going to use it via, we're not using this. We're going
Oh,
to use
got
what
it.
Eleventy calls the shortcode. Functions and shortcodes are both basically like they're functions that you can use from your templates. Um, they have slightly different syntaxes for different reasons, but we are going to add a shortcode that takes an image path, alt, and size attributes,
Okay.
and it's going to convert the picture tag for us. So just scroll down a bit, and it's got like a full working example for us.
Is this?
Um, yeah.
Am I going still?
Uh,
Use
Here
this in
we
your
go. Okay, use
templates.
this in your templates. Yep. So it has for you a function to use in your 11.js file. This kind of const image and then this async function image shortcode. We're just gonna copy paste this because this turns out to be pretty quick.
Okay.
Uh,
Cool.
oh God, Ben, brutal.
Y'all are fantastic. Uh,
Okay. So here's the thing. You can only have one export with a
right.
function. So we're gonna end up pasting the stuff that was in the yeah. So the 11 config add shortcode stuff, we're just gonna move that up into our own yep, there you go. Stick it down there at the bottom. Yeah. Cool, cool, cool. And do some cleanup.
Cool.
And there you go. We now have added a shortcode. We've basically added a function that we can use in our templates to convert an image, path, alt, etc., into into a picture element. And it'll do all the source stuff for us. And it's going to do some extra stuff too, including caching, which is excellent. So yeah, let's go back to the 11D image docs.
Okay.
We'll see kind of the next bit. Um, no, that's just an extra modification you can make. There we go. So this describes how you actually use it. Yeah, we're gonna want to use
Okay.
the liquid syntax here. Um, yeah, let's borrow that one.
Got
And
it. And we can use the view width as a property. That's awesome.
so something to call out here about shortcodes is when you scroll down a bit to where you add those shortcodes, those are the three methods that you had in the that you got. Oh,
Sorry.
sorry, back in your 11.js file.
Okay.
If you scroll down, so we actually on lines 25 through 27, we give our shortcode a name, right? Like you have to name a function to be able to use it places. So we're naming it image. We now have like basically an image function that we can use in our
Right.
template.
Okay.
Um,
And we probably don't even need these two, right? We just need the liquid one.
Yeah, that's fair.
But
We
but
can,
but I'm just trying to like
yeah,
understand it fully. But
mhm,
these probably don't hurt or anything. But maybe I don't know.
right.
But since we're
So
only doing this in liquid, we can probably just keep that.
yeah,
Um. All right.
so
Cool. So you got liquid.
go now to our yeah. Let's copy that. We're gonna paste it into our. Okay, so
No,
we're
it's the
gonna
wrong
use.
one.
Do you want to use? Do you want to start with your post layout, or do you want to start with
Sure.
your
Yeah, we can
home
start
page?
here since we're here.
Cool. So you're just
So
gonna replace this image tag with this shortcode that you've got here, and so you don't actually need to wrap these in quotes now, and you don't need to use the braces. You can
got it.
so
That makes
you'll
sense.
say image alt, yep, and image URL,
So
yep,
already inside the liquid tag,
and then
right?
this, yeah, yep. Once you're in
Okay.
the curly braces, you are in like liquid land, right?
Right.
Liquid land, a bit of an oxymoron there, right? But you are able to interface with variables directly, right? Instead of having to do curly braces. So
Ben Holmes says, fun fact, async shortcode is very important for nunchucks. Learned that the hard way recently.
Corey's
Liquid
over
Land
here.
is my
Liquid land
favorite water
is
park.
incredible.
uh,
So
honestly, the best sequel to Waterworld that they've ever made Yeah.
Incredible.
Um,
Yeah.
So we can go to our galloping gallery, and
So we started on our post, right? So
we
you're actually
don't
going to
have
go to your
we don't have a dev
your
server running because it's breaking. Crap. Eleventy is not recognized as an internal or external command. That's always a good sign.
npm install.
Yeah, I don't know. This oh, okay, let's see if that worked.
All right.
Nope. So I think that image thing busted our build. I think
Interesting.
Eleventy image just ruined
Wait, but there is
us.
an 11t in there.
What?
There is an 11t directory inside your 11ty namespace.
Yeah, but they don't have we don't have anything up here. I forget what the little dot folder is.
Oh, okay.
But there's unable to resolve non-existing file. Chat might know what like what little folder up here holds onto those like .bin folder. Thank you, NFG.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, it would appear as though
We might
today
be
is not
stuck.
the day for 11t image.
Yeah.
But you were
not
running
sure.
this, or actually, you know what? Let's deploy this somewhere because I guarantee you, things are going to work inside a CI/CD, and that could be kind of a nice cap to this.
Got it.
So, where do you tend to host your sites?
Netlify.
Let's do Netlify. I love Netlify setup for this. So first of all, we're going to need to initialize this as a Git project, and we're going to need to add some things to our Git ignore as well.
Cool.
Because there's a whole lot we don't want to ship. So I can give you the kind of lowdown. So let's create a Git ignore.
Cool.
I suppose you probably could do npx at 11d/11d, Thomas. No, that's sorry, that's Mike. Never
Does
mind.
it have to be npx at 11t/11t instead of 11t? Yep, you're right. You can also add 11t-serve as a script to your package JSON. I think that's what we've got.
We have that, yeah.
Yeah. I don't think that was that might not. I don't think if we don't have it installed globally, it causes. I mean, it was working before, so my hunch is just that this 11t image install is just breaking everything.
Yeah.
Thank you, Liam.
Yep. All right. So yeah, let's go ahead and create ourselves a git ignore, because what we've got here should work just fine in a CI/CD environment.
Okay.
So yeah, we're gonna first of all ignore node modules always.
I rarely ever do these by hand. Do you have to do slash?
Yeah,
or...
you don't.
Okay, cool.
You don't. And then underscore site, because there's no sense in 11 is going to build this, right? So there's no sense in pushing that up.
Right.
If there's others you like to
No.
exclude. Yep.
Yeah, I guess that'll be it, right?
Yeah, I personally stick both yarn.lock and package lock JSON in my git ignore, mainly if I'm doing anything open source. Like, it's like, yes, I understand you're supposed to commit your lock files, but if there are two different standards for lock files, people are going to pick whatever they prefer. It's like I just ignore them both.
Yeah, I think we can keep it in there for this. So yeah, I guess just cool.
And then, do you have the Netlify CLI by any chance?
I probably do. I never use it, honestly.
Let's see. Nice. Okay, like so you can do NTL init or Netlify init. Yep. Boom. And it is going to do you want to create a Netlify site without a Git repository? Oh, you haven't set an origin yet, have you?
Right. No. So just create and deploy site manually. I mean, that doesn't really matter, right?
I'm fixing a thing. Yeah.
Dude, who does that? That's sad. Anyway, bump that sadness.
Yep.
That's like, honestly, imagine almost a year later, still going into chats, dropping that. Like, Man, you gotta find a hobby, buddy. That's
Yep.
sad. All right. Um,
All right.
yeah, just creating a play site manually. That was just funny.
Mm-hmm.
What extensions would you recommend for managing your repo from a DevOps environment? Yeah, it's definitely not a question for me, Net Frazier. I definitely have a. I know Corey in the chat is kind of like my go-to DevOps guy, which is funny because he's not like kind of in that role right now. But definitely have some people in the chat that would be better at answering that question in particular. I want to create a Netlify site without a repository. Yep. Team trust codes. Yep. Use unique site name. Galloping.
Yep.
Awesome.
Cool.
Site ID. So I can go over to to deploy this site, run your site build, and then Netlify deploy. Wait, what? What does that mean?
I think you can just uh, deploy it from here if you want, but we can also set it up in the
I'm
Netlify
just going to
interface.
go over to the Netlify CLI, yeah, or to the Netlify.com. I'm just doing it off screen real quick, just in case. I don't remember what's up here, like in
Yeah.
terms of potentially. I don't think there's anything that can expose me. Site not to been deployed. So can we just hit
Yeah,
deploy?
you haven't set this up to a GitHub repo, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Wait.
I thought it was gonna push it for me. Run your site build. So, but we freaking can't, right? Because that was the whole thing. We can't build it locally. Oy, okay, farts. Um,
Do you have the GitHub CLI?
nope, doesn't look like it.
It'll
Oh,
be
wait,
view.
yeah, yeah. It just no, okay. It just opened GitHub as a thing, or
Oh,
like
incredible.
as an app over here.
So let's go ahead and I guess real quickly push this up to GitHub, and then we can go to Netlify. We can configure it as a. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Um,
All right.
big in this so it's a little easier to see on my end.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's.
Oh, you do, is this already up on GitHub?
No, it's just
Oh,
looking at what
there
it
is
is
a
here.
publish. Cool.
Is there a publish
Yeah.
button?
Up at the top, middle.
Publish repository to GitHub. Nice. Galloping. What is it? Gallery.
Galloping gallery.
Cool. Keep it private. Publish repository.
All right.
That's
And
handy. Thank
that
you,
is.
GitHub. That's really slick.
And
All right.
now here we
Let's
can go to deploy settings, and we'll have to link site to Git. We're in the
authorize.
docs Alex here. Um, Galloping. There we go. Yep. And now we have to pick where we're going to deploy from. So, oh, actually, it's already handled that for us. It knows that this is an Eleventy project, and it's using Eleventy defaults, which are npm run build and underscore
Awesome.
site.
All right.
So, another thing we could have done had we been able to build this locally is we could have taken that built underscore site and then just dragged and dropped it into Netlify
Right.
because
That's what I was about to do, but then I'm like, right, we can't even build locally because this is kind of breaking right now. So, because of
so
the Eleventy image thing, that was interesting.
and
Old lock file. What is that? Oh, interesting.
oh
Old
I wonder
version
if
of
that was maybe
npm.
part of the problem. Old npm maybe. Who knows? Um,
6. What are we? What should I be
we're on
on?
like 7 now, aren't we?
I don't know. I'm so behind the times, y'all. I don't know. I like this landing page a lot. I have not seen this
Yeah.
lately. That's pretty gorgeous. All right, where are we at? Deploy details. Lots of warnings. We might be good
And I think
still.
for the first time you set this up, like it might be a little slower. 11D deploys are usually really fast, right? Like I usually have something up. Like given that we're running like workers here that have to start up from a cold start, right? Like my Netlify sites are usually live within half a minute,
Right.
maybe. I think this is just unique because we're setting it out for the first time.
Yeah.
Later deploys will go much more quickly.
Got it. And NFG Codex says, and this is why we use Docker, and then he ducks, or they duck. Sorry. Yeah, I definitely see the use case for that kind of thing here, NFG. All right, so we're just building. Looks like it was kind of stuck at that one spot.
Yeah, that is weird. This
I don't know. We
seems
might be blocked here. Who knows?
Hmm.
How do you? I feel like installing npm is going to take longer than we should give to it.
Yeah.
That usually, I feel like that takes a minute, but I'm not sure. Um, yeah, I don't know. It feels like we're stuck. npm modules using npm version 7.
What if you? Yeah. What if you nuke your package lock, and then push it up
All right, let's try it.
like that? That seems to be part of the weirdness here.
All
So
right.
yeah, just go ahead and commit this.
Was that not? Did I edit this? Oh, okay. It edited it. Add.
All right. We might end up like um removing or like canceling this build or something like that.
Yep, that
Uh,
makes sense to me. Starting up. Yeah, Corey, thank you for helping out. Really appreciate it. I see. I had a feeling you'd be able to help out Net Frazier. Good to have you here, Net Frazier. Thank you for coming through. And thank you for
yeah,
the
you might
follow.
know. Let me celebrate that horsiness. Yay.
Yeah, Corey was my coworker at my last job at an agency, and he's just super talented, super knowledgeable person, and beyond everything else, incredibly patient, and that I think is more important than, you know, knowing all the stuff, but no one feels like they can ask you a question. You know what I mean? Like there are people like that where it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
Tom knows everything, but you ask one question, the guy bites your head off.
Mhm.
Corey's just fantastic. So, all right, we're hitting the same error again, hitting that same kind of block. We might
Sure.
just not be able to hit the Eleventy image for today, but uh, I'm still loving this. We can absolutely find out why we're hitting some kind of a Windows error. It might even be like in the issues or something. Let me actually just see if there's an Windows. Uh, No, it doesn't seem like there's, and it might just be a me thing. It might be an npm issue. I'm not sure, but I can debug
Yeah.
that at another time. But Ben, this was awesome. We made a fun little site. Got to learn all about a lot of things. How Eleventy turns pretty much any file that we throw at it, like it kind of like runs it through its little factory and outputs a site. How quickly the
Yeah.
dev server just like rebuilds and allows us to see our changes really quick. We learned how to override. Where was it? Where was our in posts? How to override or I guess like set sensible defaults for several
Mhm.
files at once. Like we got through a lot today. Um, and we also learned like the difference between layouts, which is kind of like just more like data, and then templates. I hope I'm getting that one right, which is kind of like the framework or like the, yeah. It's hard to describe a template without using the word template or layout again.
It's
But it's
the
kind
other
of,
way around. So the template
shoot.
is yeah, the template is a file that contains contents which get transformed into a page. And templates can have data. Templates can have layouts applied to them, and the layouts are what we use to apply our HTML boilerplate, right? And
Got it.
it's all weird because again, like a layout is technically a template that wraps your template, which gets kind of odd to think about behind the scenes, but that's what lets us do our liquid or our nunjax syntax
This
in
feels like
both
an
programs.
exhibit meme, honestly. This is.
So yeah, um,
Oh my
and
god.
there's so many other things to explore too, right? 11 is so huge on doing as much as you can ahead of time, right? So the only things that were shipped were the things that we told 11 to ship, right? 11 is not shipping a big JavaScript file or
Right.
even adding like meta tags for us or anything like that. In fact, one of the things that Zach is really proud of is if you don't have the source code, it is impossible to detect that an 11 site was built by 11 because there's just no fingerprints, right?
That's
Whereas
cool.
Gatsby, like your whole Gatsby site is wrapped in a div with an ID underscore underscore Gatsby. Next is underscore underscore next.
Yeah.
11, there's no way to tell whether you handcrafted your HTML artisanally or whether you've used 11.
Artisanally, I love that.
And
Yeah.
there's other things I want to call out too, right? There where like as much of this work is being done ahead of time in your build step, and that means that you can include things like you can do data fetches that happen in the build step and not on the client. And that means that you can display data from APIs that you fetched, and it's going to be stale, right? Because it's going to be only as fresh as your latest build, but
Right.
you can display data that was fetched from an API without having to ship a loading state or a error state to the end user. Or you can use your favorite JavaScript libraries for the developer experience without having to worry about what does this add to my bundle. One thing we didn't get to was adding, for instance, Moment, which I think Moment has a fantastic developer experience for datetime processing.
Mm.
I really like it, at least. But one of the things that gives developers pause with using Moment is
Bulky.
that you then have to ship Moment, right? You
Yeah,
have
it's
to like
bulky.
add that to your bundle. Here, because it's all happening developer side, it's all happening in the build step. You can use whatever npm libraries you want.
You can use
It's
the
not going to
biggest
add any
freaking
extra
JavaScript
load.
package you want, and it's just gonna
Yeah.
shoot over a string of a time over
Yes.
to our users.
Yes.
I need to call out Ryan Trimble. The the only way you'll be able to tell an Eleventy site is an Eleventy site is because the dev will tell you.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
it's
We are unfortunately a very vocal group, I think, in
it's
terms
really
of
good,
like
but
I'm never a
always at
fan
the
of like
bottom. It's always in the footer. Always in the footer, right? This site was built with Netlify, Eleventy, and Love or Coffee, depending on who you are. One of
or
those.
there's the inevitable I ported my site over to Eleventy and here's what I learned, or why I ported my site to Eleventy. I have that post. We all have it. No shame. But yeah, so you can use whichever JavaScript libraries you want to process your content and to do fancy things like datetime processing without having to make your users pay for that,
Right,
right?
right,
You get the developer experience. Your user doesn't have to pay for that developer experience,
right.
which I appreciate. Eleventy has a vibrant plugin ecosystem. I really like that as well. And you can do some silly things. I've got a plugin out there that like just embeds a Twitch chat into your into any page. So you can just like pass it. Basically you can do what we were doing with like the short codes. You could say like Twitch and then pass it like a string like Trost codes.
Right.
And it would render like a Twitch chat for that. Um, and so yeah, I think there's a lot of really cool things to explore, and I hope that this has been kind of a 101 that doesn't touch on nearly everything that makes 11D such a workhorse as it is, but hopefully kind of gives you the tools and the excitement to carry forward with 11D.
Yeah. No. And Mike, I appreciate you reminding me of this. I still need to get this to be a bigger part of the lifeblood of the stream. I really appreciate it. Damn it, Mike, you set me up. You set me up. Nicely done, Mike. Nicely done. I wonder if Alex is ready to redo Front End Horse with Eleventy. Lucy also wonders, is Alex ready to redo Front End Horse with Eleventy? Nicely done, you two. Did we learn anything? Learn some new plugins for Eleventy? Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, so we have this feature, and I need to promote it more because it's a nice way to kind of capture the things that we gain from these streams. Ben, thank you so much. We don't go anywhere, chat. We have more Eleventy where that came from. Our good friend Steph Eccles is streaming now, I think. We're going to raid her. Let me try to check and see, making sure she is up.
See her live.
Yes. Okay. So she is live. Awesome. She is currently hosting us, I think. So we're gonna go over to her, and I think by that time it's going. Oh, I'm hearing myself back. I'm so sorry, chat. And you heard me, so that was just a bad loop. I really apologize for that. Yeah, Ben, this was fantastic. Thank you so much for having. Thank you for that follow, Bjorn. Great to have you here. You were awesome in the chat. And if you rate a channel hosting you, does Twitch implode? Yes, it does. It's going to be a black hole. You'll all be part of it. You can say you were there. You took down chat, or you took down Twitch and broke it. So yeah, we are going to head over. Thank you again. Y'all were fantastic. Chat. This is I think by far the most active chat that we might have ever had. So y'all were fantastic. Ben, thank you again. Ben, can you drop just where they can find you? So Ben
Yeah. Let me put
Myers.dev.
Yeah. I'm
Drop your
putting
website in there. Perfect. And I'll drop your
and
site in
then
there.
we'll have
Awesome.
one for the Twitch. Follow me on Twitch, y'all. I have a weekly show where I bring on guests.
Thank you.
Something about building great user experiences in a hands-on way with a focus on accessibility and core web technologies. That's every Tuesday, 12 p.m. Central. Yes.
Wow, you have that sentence nailed, Ben. I'm proud of you.
Boom.
That was beautiful. All right, we're going to hang out with our good friend Steph. I will see you, I think, Tuesday. We have awesome shows lined up. I will see you soon. Take care.